disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing.
Lobito!
Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Well. Welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. This is your good friend, Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad. That's right, sure I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. And this one is a fantastic show for everybody out there because we got Thursday, that's right, Thursday night boxing, because it's the Super Bowl weekend, and therefore Top Rank continues our tradition of giving us mid-fight fights. And it's interesting because it should be a lot better than the other midweek fight I delivered a couple of months ago with Shakur Stevenson. So hey, cross your fingers and let's hope we get a good one on Thursday. We're going to talk about that. Lopez facing a stern test in Jermaine Ortiz. There's been a lot in the news regarding Fury, Usyk, Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia. We're going to talk about all of that plus more, taking your phone calls as well near the end of the hour. So stay tuned for that. Before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so with the Super Chat feature. Although it's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. But the most important thing is you continue to like, subscribe, and you spread that BDA gospel. All right, fellas? Let's give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about I Am Your Leader in there, showing us he's got that dog. Woof, woof. Shout out to MDAW, Nightmurph, Fluffy Toasters 89, Quentin Lassiter, Nightmurph, Timothy Figueroa, Knockout Ned, Rapax Rocking Company, 10-4. Shout out to him. Says Mexico likes Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. I think that's what he means by Dio. Shout out to him. Shout out to Mr. Dodo's Dark Hate Doe. The Quags in the house. Shout out to the Quags. Shout out to Recognize the Matrix in there as well. Eddie Valenzuela, Never Sobers, and Michael Poe. Warp Speed in the house, giving us the Klingon salute. That's what it is, right? Or I forget what race Spock is. I was never a big Star Trek fan. Shout out to Two Matador, Harp, Janda, Boxing with Frank Bay. And many more people to come, I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us. All right, well, listen. Let me invite a couple of people over here. Start cooking, as they like to say nowadays. We got to get into a new one, by the way. That whole cooking thing. Let me cook. That's what people say whenever I listen to other podcasts. I think we need to change it. We definitely need to change it. I don't know what, though. I've got a couple of ideas I might throw your way. Because I will never criticize unless I have a resolution. So that's what we're going to be doing at some point during this show. All right, let me share the screen here with the fellas. I see we got the Jimmy Reno, a.k.a. Jimmy jumping in. Jimmy, are you there? Jimmy. All right, I think he's setting up.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good to hear from you.
Hello?
Good to hear from you here. Yes. I
What's
hear you.
going on,
I hear
buddy?
you. All right, now, okay, by the way, we got to talk about this fight first. Because we've got Thursday night boxing, Jimmy, because of the Super Bowl. And so we've got a nice couple of fights. We've got, first of all, there's a couple of prospects fighting. Keyshawn Davis taking on Pedraza. It's a bit of a step up for him, but he should come out on top. Abdullah Mason, I believe, is also fighting, unless I'm mistaken. I know there's another prospect. And then the main event, we've got Teofimo Lopez taking on Jermaine Ortiz, who appears to be a strong contender coming in here. What do you make of this Ortiz versus Teofimo Lopez fight?
It's kind of hard because you got a fighter coming up in weight and Ortiz, and I would imagine he was struggling to make 135 because he's a big kid. He's getting older now. He's past 25, I believe. So yeah, he's getting harder to cut down the weight. He's a strong kid. Depends on how much did he get up for this fight the way he did for Lomachenko? Because that's one thing when you fight a guy like Lomachenko. Like it's like when you're that basketball, baseball, football team that wins a bunch of championships. Everybody gets up to play you, so you're always facing the best of everybody. A guy like Lomachenko, everybody gets up to fight him. So was that just an unbelievable showing because he put all his eggs in one basket that one night? Or can we see the same that night? Because if he brings those same angles, he could be a problem. The thing is, I don't know enough about his chin. I haven't seen him in enough bangers to really tell. Do I think he has the skills to give Lopez trouble? Yeah. And again, Lopez, it's hard to make judgments on his fight because you got to know where his headspace is. So, I mean, I know he's talking a lot about other fighters, but he hasn't been as negative recently as he's been in the past. So it should be a good scrap. It's the best opponent he's faced since Lomachenko. So I'm looking forward to it. And if I'd have to put a gun in my head, I'd probably go with Lopez. Just because of that punching power and his hand speed. Power and speed is a deadly combination. So, and probably by stoppage too, because if it was to go to boxing, I don't know. I don't rate him as a better boxer than Ortiz, just a more powerful puncher with quicker hands. So it's probably stopping him. That's just my opinion as of right now.
Well, I want to address what you said about Ortiz being the best opponent Lopez has faced since Lomachenko, because on paper that's false, but in reality it might be true, and I want to get to that. Before we address this, shout out to hold on a second. Shout out to Chris K, aka Undercover Asian, for his contribution with the super chat. He says Ortiz better opponent than Taylor at this point. See, I'm telling you, Jimmy. We're going to get into this. So shout out to him for his contribution to Super Chat. Somebody else had given a message, I believe. Anyway, but shout out to Chris K, Undercover Asian. Very fortuitous comment at this point because, yeah, look, Teofimo Lopez beat Taylor. I didn't expect it. I was being swayed more by Taylor's experience and better resume overall. But I think it's clear that the inactivity really cost him. And some people are going to say, oh, those are excuses. Whatever you want to call them, it's reality. The guy didn't fight. He had a year in between the Catterall fight, which he should have lost. Another year in between the Lopez fight. And again, you got to give Lopez credit because despite the inactivity, there are a lot of guys out there that might not have been able to pull off that win against Taylor. It's not like anybody at 140 could have pulled off the win. But, this guy... Ortiz is fresher than Taylor. He's also explosive. Now, let's look at the stats here. Preliminary statistics, just to set up the groundwork. He's 5'8", which is the same height as Lopez, if we are to believe the stats that we have here. Apparently, he has a 1-inch reach advantage. So they're about the same build. Also, you mentioned Ortiz moving up in weight. He looked really gaunt and emaciated in his last weigh-in against Moran, which might explain why he looked the way he did. And so, if you look at him, he's a big dude. He looked bigger than Lomachenko when he fought him, which is kind of the norm because Lomachenko is a featherweight in there. But Ortiz, despite the fact that he has less than 20 wins, nevertheless has a little seasoning to him. He took on Theodore Adorno, who's a bit of a stern test for anybody out there. And I think he learned his lesson there of not jumping in too much because he got caught twice in there and got hurt really bad. He also beat Nahir Albright, who, if you remember, last fought Keyshawn Davis and gave him a very tough fight, especially the last 2 rounds. That fight was turned into a no contest. He's also been able to beat Jamel Herring, former 130-pound champion. He gave Lomachenko the business, and now he's taking on Teofimo Lopez. So my thing is, once you've been in the ring with those type of guys, I think he's going to have the confidence to go, okay, I belong in the ring with Teofimo Lopez. He's not going to be thinking, this guy's much better than I am, blah, blah, blah. No, I think he's confident that, hey, this is my time to shine. Would you agree with that, Jimmy? Do you think that at this point, Ortiz is fresher than Josh Taylor?
Oh, absolutely. No question. Now, listen, I didn't think Taylor was going to, I thought Lopez was going to beat Taylor for those reasons. I thought it really concerned me when 2 years ago he said, I prefer fighting once a year. I'm good with that. And then if you really look at it all, even all his fights that he did win, including the whatever it was, World Super Series of Boxing, he never really dominated anybody. It was always tight fights that he come up on top. Ramirez, if that goofy ass ref wouldn't fucked up at his job, you know what I mean? He probably wouldn't have dropped Ramirez, and that would have been a whole different fight. Because I think he just squeaked out a victory against him, Taylor, right? If I remember correctly, it was very close. My point being, even when he achieved his accolades of being undisputed and getting those belts, it was always life and death against everybody, no matter who it was. Mm-hmm. And then you mix in the how he looked against his fellow Brit, which was terrible. And then you add, like you said, all that time off. And you know me, man, I can't stand the ring rust. That's, to me, it's you get either getting better or you're getting worse. So for those factors, I thought Lopez was going to beat him, and he did. And he beat him even worse than it was pretty much one-sided that fight. It wasn't even close. So for those reasons, yes, on paper, you would say Taylor, or even, who else did he fight? But for Taylor, you would say, oh, yeah, that was a much more better win. Since, name-wise, but skill-wise, going into the fight, I rate Ortiz higher than I rated Taylor going into that fight, if that makes any sense.
It does. And again, this is an interesting fight too for Teofimo Lopez because, the book on him before the Taylor fight was that he was falling apart mentally because a lot of the things he was saying and doing prior to that bout paralleled the same storyline going into his upset loss against Kambosos. So the logical thing was, hey, something's up with this fella. I think now at this point, it's clear that Teofimo Lopez is always going to be a little crazy. That's just going to be the book on him from here on out. But when it counts, he can pull it off. Again, I think it was Shazar in the Discord mentioned the fact that Lopez can be a little hot and cold. He'll look bad against Aristotle, or not bad, but he looks vulnerable against guys like Tatel and Nakatani, and then boom, he'll clear out within 2 rounds a guy like Comey. Then he'll struggle against a guy like what's the Spaniard name? What's the name of the Spaniard? I can't believe I'm zoning out here. The guy that beat Mikey Garcia.
The runner. Yeah.
No, he's really runner.
Yeah, me too. I'm having a brain fart. That's why.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
yep, there you go.
But what I'm saying is, he'll look bad here and there or vulnerable, and then all of a sudden, boom, he'll pull off a big win. So that's why a lot of people are interested in this fight because Ortiz ain't easy. He's strong, he's tough, he's 27 years old, so he's within Teofimo Lopez's age range. He's hungry, he's been in there with solid opposition, he's beaten some good opponents. So that's what people want to see now from Teofimo Lopez is can he be consistent in his performances? What do you think, Jimmy? What can we expect here?
Yeah, and then on top of that, you throw in the loss to Kambosos, which he never should have because he overlooked him. I think with Lopez, it comes with a lot of fighters. It depends on who you have in your corner. And let me tell you what I mean by that. A great corner man will never let you get complacent. I don't give a shit if you're fighting some scrub. They should train you and talk to you like you're fighting a reincarnation of Marvin Hagler or Muhammad Ali. I think his whole team took Kambosos lightly. Have they matured themselves as a team and realized that? Like, you can't go in there thinking, I'm just going to blast, read your own news clippings. I'm just going to blast that dude out. Mm-hmm. If he has that attitude against this kid, it could end really bad for him. Like I said, put it this way, would anybody say who's better right now, Kambosos or Ortiz? I don't think you'd find anybody alive who knows boxing would say Kambosos. but yet he lost to him. So if he can lose to him, Lopez can lose to anybody. So for all those reasons you said, his headspace, everything else.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes this fight interesting. That we don't know how Lopez is necessarily going to look. Shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the super chat. He says Ortiz and Lopez as explosive as post-taco diarrhea. Okay, come on. See, I really didn't need that type of visual going in, Chris K. But since you paid for it, so I guess you can pretty much say whatever you want. But shout out to Chris K. Now Ortiz and Lopez are both explosive, very quick. They've got that those fast twitch muscles. My thing is, Ortiz, when he fought Albright and Adorno, he was very aggressive. Same thing against Jamel Herring. Then you saw him fight Lomachenko, and he switched it up. He was fighting much more defensively, which I suppose is what happens when you fight Lomachenko. He'll make you have to fight a different way because he's the one that's putting on the pressure. But if he starts jumping in too much against Teofimo Lopez here, it could be trouble because Teofimo Lopez's bread and butter is the counterpunching. And he's when you see Ortiz and Lopez, you can see that their speed is comparable. But I do think Lopez has a little bit more seasoning to his attack and his counterpunching. Maybe what I'm trying to get is I think his technique is a little tighter. But again, like Jimmy said, there's no reason why Lopez should have lost against Kambosos. And again, that's not a knock on Kambosos, but Kambosos is the type of guy who waits around a lot. He's not a go-getter. He's not going to put... You saw that's what happened with Haney. That's why the Haney fight was one of the easiest picks to make because Kambosos is not a come-forward fighter. He doesn't have a guard. He doesn't have a superior jab than Haney. So he's just going to be outboxed from the outside. It was easy, breezy peasy, whatever you want to call it. Here, it's two guys that don't really have that great a jab, but very explosive. So I think the difference is going to come into the tightness of the punches. The technique, the crispness of the shot. So my prediction right off the bat is I give the edge to Teofimo Lopez, but the fact that he lost to a guy like Kambosos not that long ago makes you wonder if he really will come out victorious for this one. So that's my prediction. I don't know if anybody wants to make their... I see we got Sobers jumping in. Sobers, you want to give us your official prediction or a breakdown of this fight?
I think I didn't get to watch this Ortiz's last fight. I heard he didn't look that good, and the weight cut was getting to him. He's at 140 now, right? So this is his first fight at 140?
Yes.
So I don't know if that's going to affect the fight. You know what I mean? I was going to help him or hurt him. But I know from what I've seen with his footwork, I think Ortiz can be a little bit faster with the angles. That he was really keeping up with Lomachenko. But you know what I mean? I think that was giving Teofimo a lot of problems when he fought Lomachenko. When he really started hitting the angles, he really started outdoing Lopez. And the thing with Ortiz, he was really keeping up with Lomachenko with his angles. So if he does something like that to Lopez, and I also think he has faster hands in combination, you know, I think Teofimo has more power. But, you know, I really think the size and the speed is really going to give Teofimo some problems, bro. And like Teofimo looking like he wants to fight Crawford next or whatever, like Jimmy was saying, if he looks past him, dude, like he's done before, you know, he's kind of a head case, bro. He's up and down. So who knows how he shows up. He might be a little unreliable, but, you know, from what I've seen, he looks like he's in shape. He's ready to go, I guess. But we'll see how he tries to fight, bro. Let's see, you know what I mean? He can lay an egg, bro. He fucks up sometimes.
Yeah, you just never know, man. By the way, shout out to
I'm not sure who to predict, bro.
No, I got you, man. I got you. It's understandable. Shout out to Chris K for his contribution with his super chat. He says, take a shot every time Radley says dog. Yeah, that's really, he's one of the guys that's popularized that, the whole...
I'm moving different. This shit ain't nothing to me, man. I'm a dog.
Yeah, the whole dog thing. That's another thing. You know, like when people say cooking, I'm cooking here, I'm cooking. That's the other thing that needs to go, man, the dog. We've had enough of that. Hey, by the way, you mentioned the angles from Ortiz. Yeah, very good angles. Very good. The way he sticks to a guy close and then boom, turns them. Very, very good. Very distracting too, by the way. By the way, am I cutting in and out here, fellas? How's the audio sounding?
Bro.
People in the chat are saying that cutting in and out. All right. So I don't know if I should... I don't know if the connection's... doing well here. Because I'm getting messages from OBS telling me that sort of lagging a little bit. Anyway, the point is, I'm excited for this fight. Yeah, we are having streaming issues. All right, I think we are back. Yeah, but the connection, I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll just have to keep an eye on it. I don't know why it was giving me this type of problem. But anyway, we should be back. So I'm looking forward to this fight, fellas. Thursday night fights. Is this something that you guys prefer, are indifferent towards to? What do you make of this?
I have no problem with it. I'll take fights on any night. I hate that they pigeonhole themselves into weekends. There used to be a time there would be fights on Tuesdays, Thursdays, so it didn't matter. Because there was so much boxing, you couldn't just relegate it to a Saturday or a Friday night. We used to have Friday night fights on, ESPN, and I have no issue with it whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree with that, bro, because I hate having 2 or 3 fights I want to watch on the same night, and you got to have more than one TV if you want to watch them. Or there's something else to watch them if you want to watch them both, or one or the other. So if it's a good fight on Thursday and there can be a good fight on Saturday, that's what I'm with that. You know what I mean? I like that. Not if it's Shakur Stevenson or nothing like that. You know what I mean? Keep that shit.
Hey, wait a minute. Are we still live? Sorry about the fellas, but I'm just trying to figure out what's
are we, bro?
I don't know. You guys tell me. Hey, can you hear us? Okay, no, yeah, we are public. I don't know what was going on here.
Here, let me check on the YouTube video, bro.
Well, because I didn't know if the stream was private or something. No, we're good. I think we're good. We're good. Yeah, listen, my thing about this Thursday fights, I like them. I like the fight that we got. Because, again, I think most people, for a long time, we haven't had Friday night fights for a long time. The ESPN thing. Showbox, I don't think there was that many people watching. I never really heard a lot of, even on this show, we never really thought, hey, did you catch a Showbox the other night? And then on top of that, in the 90s, we had Tuesday night fights. Then on the summer, ESPN would have a Wednesday night fight segment. So you had if you were lucky, you would have about 4 nights of boxing. And I think Fox Sports used to have Sunday fights. So there used to be fights all over the place. Nowadays, it's all Saturday. So Thursday, I like it. As long as it's not too late. Because that's what they did with Shakur Stevenson fight. I think the main event started at midnight, 12:15 a.m., something ridiculous like that. But so that by the time the fight ends, you're about ready to have breakfast. And then on top of that, if the fight stinks, like Shakur Stevenson versus De Los Santos, you want to break a table. You want to break something. Because you're thinking, I stayed up to watch this piece of shit, So hopefully we don't. This
I ain't gonna lie, BDA. I fell asleep on that fight.
I mean, maybe that's why they put it on on a Thursday, because they were gonna help people sleep. I don't know. But we'll see what happens, man. Again, I'm looking forward to the Teofimo Lopez Ortiz fight, and the reason why, again, people are wondering whether Lopez has his head on straight in this one is because he has been talking about fighting Terence Crawford. He wants that Crawford fight. And first of all, I'm thinking, look, Lopez, you got a lot on your plate right now at 140. You got Haney, you got Matias, who we're going to talk about later on. You got a guy like Gary Antoine Russell if you want to add that guy in there. Josh Taylor is still around. You never know. Things could materialize where we have a rematch. I think Taylor's still at 140. He says he's going to move up, but whatever. Jack Catterall is in there. Prograis is still in there. So for him to be saying, hey, I want to fight Crawford. Hey, look, guys, it's not a bad fight. And good for him to be looking forward to that fight. But better focus on the guy you got in front of you now. Strong, fast guy in Ortiz who's hungry, wants to make a name for himself. Never an easy fight. So we shall see what happens with that one right there. What else? Yeah, has there been any rumblings about Lopez versus Haney lately? Or is it more Lopez calling out Crawford?
As far as with Haney, I think all the talk's been around him fighting, what's that dude's name? Ryan Garcia. And I think Conor Benn, too, more recently. His dad showed up at his press conference, didn't he?
Yes, I believe he did. And that's the other thing here about that is that we've got Conor Benn now and Gervonta Davis going at each other on Twitter. That's another thing I want to get to. But as far as this card, one last note on it, just to give you guys a rundown of who is going to be starring in this production. You got Abdullah Mason fighting Benjamin Gurment. That's an 8-rounder. Keyshawn Davis taking Jose Pedraza. And then the main course, Teofimo Lopez versus Jermaine Ortiz. Hopefully it's a good one. All right. I have to read a super chat here. Shout out to Nicholas Argyros, who says, "Hey, this is Mike Ock. Love the show. Keep it up." Well, I'm glad to know that you've always been Mike Ock there, Nicholas Argyros. Never expected you to be Mike Ock. I don't know who Mike Ock is, but I'll just keep saying the name. Mike Ock. Mike Ock. If you say it quickly, I know what you're getting at, but I think it's liable to be missed. Mike Ock. No, you have to say it quickly so that it sounds like Mike Cock. Anyway, point is, I mean, that's what he was trying to get at, I think. Shout out to Nicholas Argyros for that. Thank you for your contribution. All right. Let's get to another piece of news here. We've had a little time to distance ourselves from Fury versus Usyk, the fight falling apart. We haven't gone live since that piece of news dropped. So now we're getting a bit of a view, a panorama of what's up. First of all, for those of you that have been living under a rock, Tyson Fury got caught, pulled out of the fight. They rescheduled it for May the 18th, I believe, or May the 12th, somewhere along the date, the first 2 weeks of May. Now they're saying that whoever pulls out of the fight will have to pay $10 million or have $10 million taken away from their purse. Tyson Fury was with the Sheik, or not the Sheik, but one of those dudes from Saudi Arabia, via webcam, going at it with Usyk and his promoter, Aegis Kilmas, or advisor, whatever he is, and they're going at it, blah, blah, blah. So one of the things is that was making the rounds on YouTube and social media is that a lot of boxing fans think that Fury not only decided to concoct all of this to pull out of the fight, or at least postpone it, but that they actually really did fake it, meaning he's not cut at all. Jimmy, now that we've had some time to ruminate about this, what do you make of all of this?
Well, I take it as a whole. Put it this way: do the people involved with this fight who spent a small fortune on that promo with them dressed up as cowboys and gladiators, clearly they think some monkey business was involved, or they wouldn't have instituted that $10 million pullout fine, which I've never even heard of before in boxing. So clearly, and that wasn't installed because Usyk, because he has no history of any kind of shenanigans, whereas Fury, he has. And I know there's people who listen to the show who are fans of Fury, and I'll add that I was fans of Fury when he was taking care of Wilder, because I think he needed to be taken care of. But again, I'm a fan of the sport, and there's a lot of things Fury has done that I don't agree with. And my thing is this: you look at it as a whole. Today is 2024, right? Everybody owns a camera on their phone, and they're all HD. In fact, has anybody even developed a camera in the last 10 years that isn't high definition? In the video they released of the supposed incident where it caught an elbow, they got it at an angle. Of course, it was videotaped at an angle. You really couldn't see the connection of the punch, just his head kind of popped back. And they used the same camera they shot the Zapruder film on. I mean, could it be any more pixelated and dark? You think that was by accident? And then he turns around, pauses his face, walking towards whoever's holding that 1987 VHS camera and holding his fucking face. No time you see a droplet of blood on the canvas, no blood pouring down his face, which would have been happening if you get a gash above your eye. You bleed like a stuck pig. I'm just saying that it cuts off right there, and it shows nothing else. Not his headgear off. Jesus, look at that gash on your eye. It shows him, oh, I got a hit, and he walks towards the camera again, like one of those cameras you have to put up on your shoulder, and you have to slap the VHS tape in, because it couldn't have been more pixelated and dark, because that's on purpose, because if you blow it up to look at closely, where that blow landed, it just gets all blurred out, so you can't see nothing. Again, it's too much with this kid. Then you add that in with the rumors that have been, spouted by people who are in the know that Obatiah, I know I'm probably butchering his name, planted him on his ass within 5 rounds of sparring, put him on his ass. And the other rumor is that he hasn't been looking good. Whether he's getting in shape or not is irrelevant. I know a lot of people say, well, look at how good his shape is in. So what? He lost the fat. Somebody losing weight, I'm not going to fucking attribute that they're doing good in camp. All rumors are he wasn't looking good in camp, got put on his ass by Obatiah. And if that's the case, if that kid's putting on your ass, I don't know. I personally think he needed more time. I think that he knew he wasn't looking good in training and he wanted more time. And I don't believe for a second. I don't buy this cut. I don't buy it was an elbow. If you look at the angle of the punch as best as you can, again through that pixelated dark bullshit film, it doesn't look like an elbow come up high. It looked like he got caught with a shot with headgear on. And you almost never see a cut there with the headgear that sticks out right along your forehead. And all those other things, just, yeah, sorry, you don't earn my trust. And the things you've done in the past 2.5 years without facing an opponent after you win your belt, just got himself out of the Klitschko rematch. Just been too much shit with this fucking dude for me to earn my trust. So do I think that he's full of shit? Yeah, I do. I think he'll fight him. I think he's planning on fighting him. But clearly, when even the Sheik instituted, and I know it's for both of them, they both get $10 million whoever pulls out, and that's injury or not. Meaning if they break their hand, if and when they do fight, they lose automatically $10 million. So it's not like, well, if you pull out, but you have a real reason. No reasons. You pull out of this fight, whoever pulls out or prolongs it or postpones it is going to lose $10 million. And that's clearly meant for Fury. So clearly the people putting on the event don't trust him and they don't believe him. Because if they believed him, he really got gashed, why would you institute such a heavy penalization if it was really just an accident, one of those things that happened? So yeah, that's my take.
You know what? First of all, yeah, that is one bizarre thing, the camera quality. It's possible somebody was recording it with a flip phone. Maybe they don't want to have those, there's people out there that still do it old school. One thing I will say is that if you're filming something, you want to have a good quality. I mean, when I was in the industry, we had way better quality cameras than this. And we're talking 70s here. Because, I mean, it really is a shame when you set up the lighting and everything, and then it all goes to the garbage can if you're using a bad camera. I mean, if you want to spread it and you want to see the pink.
You was the man back, BDA.
I mean, I'm just saying, right, guys, if you want to spread it and see the pink, you got to really use a quality camera. But listen, the point is this. The whole thing about what Jimmy said about the trust thing, that's something that Steve Kim said in his latest column about how he doesn't think, I think that's what he said. I think he doesn't think that Usyk Fury faked the cut, but that he understands why people would believe that because of the latest hijinks for the past 1.5 or 2 years that Fury has been manifesting in the boxing world. But again, the camera, that is fishy. Why is the quality of the video so low? The other thing is, a lot of people call it. People on the Discord, people on Twitter, people were saying it last year. It's like, okay, when the fight finally gets announced, don't be surprised if Fury pulls out with some sort of injury. I think, but guys, wouldn't you? I'm playing devil's advocate here. If Fury wanted to pull out of the fight with an injury, wouldn't it have been easier to just say, "Oh, I pulled something" or whatever, instead of actually fucking creating a gash on his face?
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that too, BDA. But then again, it's like I had that feeling that I'll put it to you this way: I thought if he would have fought him on the 17th, there was a good chance he was going to lose that fight. Whether, the decision would have went Usyk's way. I'm not saying Usyk would have knocked him out. I just felt that Usyk would have clearly beat him. And he wasn't ready. Everything about him was telling me that he wasn't ready for February 17th. This is why they postponed the fight 3 months later after the injury. Because I think in his mind, that's what he needed, right? He needs about another 3 more months. And there was some like mind games too. And I think that's why the Saudis instituted this $10 million penalty. I think Jimmy is right. Jimmy's right. He feels that it's more likely for like a Tyson Fury warning. But I also think this is also so that there won't be no retaliation, right? So you think about Usyk getting himself prepared to fight the 17th, and he's probably upset that, he put in the work. I'm sure he was sparring. I'm sure there's money involved when it comes to that, and so he probably feels like, goddamn, not that I think Usyk would do that, but in the case that that's in his mind, they're like, let's put an end to this shit. That Fury does this shit again, and that Usyk doesn't say to himself, let me get a little bit of revenge. Let me play a little bit of mind games with him, even though I doubt Usyk would do that. So it's a little bit of both of that. But you can't blame people for not thinking, because of all the things that Jimmy mentioned in his past, the rematch with Vladimir Klitschko, how he takes so long to defend his belts, his mandatory challenges, and you add all that, you can't blame people for thinking that this is fake. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know what happened, but it wouldn't shock me if this is bullshit. This is a nothing burger, and he's just buying time, and at the same time playing mind games with Usyk.
Can I add real quick too, Mr. BDA? The reason why you asked the question, why couldn't he have just said, "Oh, I hurt my hand or back," or some other thing to pull out of the fight? Those things are subjective, right? They would say, "Let me see the doctor's report. What are they saying? How long?" They probably put pressure on him to get a certain date. When you get a cut, that's cut and dry. There's only that you have to have an allotted amount of time to go by for it to heal properly, so it doesn't reopen. So a cut is the best thing if you're looking for a guaranteed few months out of the ring.
I don't think that cut is fake, bro. I'm gonna say I think what Tyson Fury is doing, he's baptizing the Saudis in the boxing business. They're trying to make these fights happen all fast, and everyone was loving it. But I don't think Tyson Fury is bullshitting with his cut, but I do think he was dragging his feet the first time around after the Ngannou fight. And like whether it's fake or not, the damage is done between them, business wise. And I know they're sour grapes, bro. That's why they're mentioning the money, So yeah, like what I mean, like whether it's legit, I mean that's a real cut, bro. But like the damage has been done as far as business wise. So yeah, like I said, I don't know how Tyson Fury's gonna come out of this, how he's gonna look after this. I don't think this is fake, but yeah, bro, no one cares if it's fake. You know what I mean? It's already too much time now.
Yeah, I mean, like first of all, if that cut is even real, because some people have said that it's photoshopped, that it's prosthetic, it's makeup. I don't know. I mean, how do you prove that? Or what evidence is there to show that he actually put this on via makeup? All I'll say is, I understand why. I echo Steve Kim's sentiment that he understands why people would doubt Tyson Fury at this point. But hey, look, the rematch is set. The rematch. There has been a new date. It's only been postponed. It's gonna happen. We'll see if there's any more type of hijinks in between here and there. But yeah, again, this is just a more classic boxing where you get this type of theories of this guy's pulling out or this guy's faking it. And I would imagine though that the cut, maybe put it in somewhere. If it's a real cut, do it somewhere that's not so damaging, because that's really, look at that. It's under the eyebrow. That's very thin skin there. And I believe that's where he'd been cut before against Wallin. So
I was gonna say, yeah, could that be scar tissue, BDA?
Of course, yeah. The more scar tissue you have, the more easier it's liable to reopen. But if indeed that is the footage that we saw is the one where he got cut, they're using it appears that the headgear they're using is very flimsy. I know that some fighters prefer to avoid, because look at that. If you see the photo on the left, let me zoom in. Look at the headgear is actually, especially in the video, it looks like it's very it's not tight. It's loose. I don't know. I don't know if it's winning headgear. Usually that's the brand that the professional goes with because it's the most trusted one. And usually they'll try to use the headgear with the bar in between to really help against protect the nose and against cuts. And I know some people don't like that bar because it's a bit more cumbersome. Every time it gets touched, it feels like you're getting hit a little bit. But this, I don't know, man. The headgear looked flimsy in the video I saw.
Well, they probably picked it up at the same thrift store they grabbed the camera at.
Yeah, they bought a couple of extra VHS tapes too along with it. I don't know, man. But yeah, man, we'll see what happens. I was disappointed when I heard that the fight had been postponed. But then again, I'm of the opinion that it's going to be a bit of a boring fight. So I wasn't that disappointed, but it was interesting to hear the theories that people were coming up with. And again, it's hard to prove anything definitively. But I understand why people would be skeptical of Tyson Fury pulling out of this one. Especially, like I said, so many people called it beforehand, saying that some shenanigans, some hijinks, some shadow play was afoot. And that's what ended up occurring.
BDA, isn't the whole point of a headgear to stop cuts?
Well, that's one of the main ones, yeah.
How does the elbow get underneath it?
I mean, maybe we should watch the video to see if indeed the headgear was flimsy, because that's the way it looked like to me. Did it look flimsy to anyone else? Like loose is what I'm trying to get at.
It looked like it hit him in the chin to me.
And yeah, but that's the thing. People are saying, "Oh, it was an elbow." Again, like Jimmy says, the quality is so bad; it's hard to determine whether it was a blow or whether it was an elbow.
But BDA, I mean, wouldn't they talk to these sparring partners and be like, "Hey, man, don't fuck my boy up. Man. You know, he's got a big fight coming up."
That was what I say. That's kind of insane to think that you're throwing those punches. Yeah, it's insane to think that one of your sparring partners would just elbow you like that, bro.
Well, that's what Steve Kim was saying on the he was on the Sotomayor podcast on Rumble, and he was saying that usually sparring partners they make good money if they're good sparring partners, meaning if they know how to actually properly spar to help prepare a guy, meaning they don't go overboard, they know how to pull their punches, they know how to make the guy work. They're not trying to prove anything to hey, I belong in this ring with this dude. I mean, they're professionals. So whoever this guy was, if indeed he hit him with an elbow, is highly unprofessional. I think that's an understatement.
Yeah, and the way he was, BDA, from what I remember from the video, he kind of throws that punch with like his elbow following it, like in case the punch doesn't land, the elbow, a little Mike Tyson-ish in his prime.
It looked very intentional, bro, to me. It looked like a straight elbow, no punch.
Well, that's the other thing. People are saying that if indeed it was an intentional elbow, it's ironic. Because let's not forget, Tyson Fury elbowed Ngannou in their bout, and he was trying to cut Ngannou because things were getting too hot for him. He couldn't handle a boxing novice, and he tried to do that dirty. Well, let's watch the video here from this infamous sparring video here, and see if we can come to a proper conclusion. I mean, it's been looked at more than the Zapruder film.
It's like it has snuff film quality.
wait a minute. How do you know what a snuff film looks like?
What I've been told.
That's funny.
You know what the problem is, BDA? When Tyson Fury elbowed Ngannou, he had a closed fist, and when this guy elbowed Fury, he had an open palm. That's how you make the elbow sharper.
Here's the video. There you go.
Well, now we know exactly what he was trying to do. See, when people say, why would he try to elbow Ngannou? That's what he was trying to do. But your sparring partner, like right there, that doesn't look like an elbow. Like if you look at the trajectory of the punch, when does his elbow come up? I could see if his punch glanced off Tyson Fury's right arm and then brought up through the follow-through, right? But how come they're not freaking out? Like, guy's on the way to make a $50 million payday, and you're fucking whipping elbows at him? Like a fighter controls his elbow. That's like right there. Like, come on and elbow my ass. I can see if he cut him with a punch. Just doesn't make sense.
It kind of does look. Look, I'm watching the glove. Then it skips a big chunk of a frame here.
It does skip a frame.
Yeah, because they're fucking with the video.
With the shitty camera,
I thought that's when I was watching it. Somebody blew it up, and I watched him like, it looks like it's skipping a frame.
Jimmy, I think we got a Zapruder 2024 over here.
It does look like an elbow. Now, but even with this shitty camera, you could still see, like Jimmy says, you should still see blood dripping. I can't see anything. Look at that. I can't see the beauty.
And that side of his headgear is white, so it'd be red. There'd be at least one little drop, right?
When a cut happens like that, whatever caused that cut, usually it starts to, you can see it starting to like leak. It starts to sprinkle, on the ground. You'll see it like it's just shooting out kind of.
I just want to say it does look like an elbow to me, but it's hard to say conclusively. But the thing that irks me the most is this dude that's sparring Fury, which somebody in our Discord managed to identify. Why is he sparring in his underwear? That's another thing that gets to me. OG Blaze mentioned this in Never Sober's Discord. Usyk too. Usyk posted a photo of him sparring the same day that Fury got caught, and he's sparring with those like tight shorts that you.
Did he have boxing trunks for him? So they just say, "Yo, use your underwear, bro."
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's not even a rare thing, Mr. BDA. Hagley should spar in his underwear too. A lot of guys do. Depending on the gym, if it's one of those asbestos hot ass gyms, guys will go right down to their drawers. But that should, again, this guy's worth tens of millions of dollars. You would think it would be controlled, but I don't know.
But Jimmy. Usyk was doing it too. He was sparring in his kiwis. I saw another dude that was sparring too, and he's got those like tight boxers on. First of all, the fabric from those that piece of cloth is very thin. You're sweating. I don't want to ass swamp all over me if I'm sparring. It's hard enough to spar avoiding punches. I mean, for the average guy, for me, it's easy. But I don't need this type of disadvantages in a ring. And that, to me, is disgusting. Guys sparring in their underwear. I think they're sending mixed signals, too. I don't know what goes on in those type of gyms. I don't want to know. And I'd rather, if I'm Tyson Fury and I look at the guy my sparring partner who's wearing underwear, I say, listen, pal, you want to get paid, you go back and change, all right? I'm not putting up with this tomfoolery.
Oh, BBA, you know what's going on there. You know.
I mean, hey, I don't know. I can imagine, but I don't want to. Is what I'm trying to get at here. So, okay, so you guys, some of it does, to me, it looks like an elbow, but the quality is so bad that I can't say for sure. And so that's what we get then with Tyson Fury. And now some people are going to say, already, the same people. Was that?
Why is he walking right towards the camera, like right after that? Like as soon as the cut happened, he walks right to the camera and like he kind of like, look, I'm cut.
Yeah, now you do hear somebody that sounds like John Fury in the background. Let's play it here. He says, so you hear somebody saying, "Who's cut?" And then I think you hear Fury saying "me," and then you go, "Rah, rah," some sort of like gypsy magic or something going on in the background, some curse. But look, the point is that
magic.
What was I going to say about this? I had a point to make about the same people that predicted that this was going to happen are now saying that here's their prognostication. They're saying now that Fury is going to come out and say, "Oh, I'm not ready for the rematch," or something's going to happen. He's going to come out with another excuse. Then by the time he does return to the ring, he's going to insist on a tune-up, probably Wilder for a fourth time. And then the next time they reschedule the fight, something's going to happen, and therefore we're never going to get Fury versus Usyk.
I mean, it might not, bro.
I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen, but I don't blame people for thinking this. Like, now that $10 million fine is on the table, right? It's part of the contract. I don't know. Maybe Fury is willing to lose $10 million. I say nah. I say that. I think in his mind, he's winning the mind games, and that's going to give him enough time to go in the ring, feeling confident that he can pull this fight out.
They're saying in the chat that Floyd and Ryan spar naked.
Well, yeah. Alejandro Solis says Ryan Garcia prefers his sparring partners to be fully naked. Sergeant #CCD says getting like wrestling. Frank Bay says Ram Ranch. The Quack says that's absolutely disgusting. I mean, I concur, man. I mean, I don't I don't know. Again, this sparring in their underwear, man. And apparently I was listening to an interview with Sean Strickland, former UFC champ, and he was saying that he was sparring this black dude, and the black dude was wearing those tight pants that they wear nowadays for grappling. And that the guy didn't have a cup on. So he could see the outline of his dick. And the guy's like, "All right, let me show you a move. You have to put your head between my legs." And Strickland was like, "No, man, what the fuck's the matter with you? What are you trying to get at here?" So apparently it's not just a boxing thing. It's across the board in combat sports. And we got to put a stop to this.
I agree.
There you go.
Yeah, these guys get too comfortable with each other, bro.
Hey, before Sobers is here, and we're talking now. I think this is a very apropos subject for what we're talking about. Ryan Garcia was on the Valuetainment podcast, and this comes after on the wake of him doing an interview with Fight Hype, and he was using an eye roller, and the way just to refresh people's memory about Ryan Garcia's antics, the fact that he blamed De La Hoya for failing to look out for him in the build-up to the Tank Davis fight. Then De La Hoya is the one that warned him about accepting the rehydration clauses and all that. And then all of a sudden, Ryan Garcia wants to use as an excuse while simultaneously blaming De La Hoya. Makes no sense. Then, okay, so refreshing people's memory, this is him on Fight Hype. All right, that's not it. Hold on a second. Every time I want to show something, I show you guys the wrong thing, man. And now I'm not going to show you guys sparring in the underwear. No, sorry, Bob.
You're distracted, BB. You're distracted by the sparring in the underwear thing.
Nah.
You should get what you voted for. Long story short.
No, that's not it. That's not even it. I don't even have the video anymore. But I'll tell you what I do have. The video that Sober sent me. Check out the mannerisms here. It's a muted video. There's no audio. But this is Ryan Garcia on the Valuetainment podcast. Look at these mannerisms.
He looked like he's saying something gay. Like he looked like he was saying he'll suck the meat off of somebody. You know what I mean? Like
he looks like he's talking about how he looks like he's talking about how he didn't like the latest rendition of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think the musical was all over the place. I really didn't enjoy it. Look at him. Like they say nowadays.
You know what I don't like, BDA?
What's that?
He's aging.
Well, Sobers, tell them that because you did a show with Telkines or Telekinesis. I don't know how you pronounce his name. What did you guys come to the conclusion about the pills?
Okay, so there was a screenshot of like when him and Rolly were going back and forth about their fight. Maybe I could send it to you, right? There's a screenshot of Rolly. He put on his Twitter saying, "Hey, bro, how about you fight a bottle of tequila and Xannies in April instead of me, right?" Oh. And then as I'm talking with Telekinesis and we're watching the interview, he starts mentioning, "Yo, this guy looks like he's high on pills. He's sweating the way his eyes are rolling. Dude, he looks like he's high on pills right now." Right. And I didn't, I'm not noticing that, but he's noticing that and he's calling that out. And I was just putting two and two together. I was like, that's interesting how someone else has already said that. And this guy, Rolly, is kind of known to out these guys a little bit because when he was going to fight Gervonta Davis, he called him a koala with chlamydia. And I know there was rumors that Floyd's daughter gave him something, right? Like they're fooling around. Right. And then there was also what he was talking about Spence. He wanted to fight Spence and everyone thought he was crazy. It's because he was already hinting at everybody that something was wrong with him. You know what I mean? He probably could have whooped his ass at that time. So I just think, Rolly he puts little hints out there if you're paying attention. He's not retarded. You know what I'm saying? He does some little slick stuff every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do if you BDA? What would you do if you were Floyd Mayweather, right? Mm-hmm. And you found out somebody like Ryan Garcia was messing around with your daughter?
Well, first of all, I think that's difficult for Mayweather to discover. Like, if you're saying the old way, everyone always gets caught cheating via text messages. Your significant other grabs your phone and reads the text messages. That wouldn't work with Mayweather because he doesn't know how to read. He's illiterate. So, but if he somehow found a way to discover and unearth such a sordid relationship, I would. I mean, you know what? I better not say it on the air. But I think you know where I'm going with this.
I would threaten him. I'll be like, "Yo, man, get the fuck out of here, bro. You got all these girls, and now you want to mess around with my daughter? Get the fuck out."
Just do what Teddy Atlas did to Tyson Fury. I mean, Mike Tyson. You pull him aside and you stick a fucking nickel-plated .357 Magnum in his face. Say you go near my fucking little sister again, I'm gonna blow your brains out.
Yeah. Now I would be. I think I would have to do what Atlas did. Yeah.
I will say this.
Fuck off.
So Sobers mentioned that they were under the impression, or Ryan Garcia gave off the impression that he's on pills, and when he told me that, I said, you know what? When Ryan Garcia was doing that interview with Pro Box before the Duarte fight, his eyes looked droopy. Now, of course, and I thought about it, and I said, okay, well, he's making weight, So that might have something to do with it. But I have noticed that his eyes have gone droopy a little bit. And on top of that, he himself admitted when he was giving his 100 excuses for why he lost the Tank Davis fight, he mentioned the fact that he was living an unclean lifestyle. So now I'm starting to wonder, and then what Sober said too, that Rolly Romero has a tendency to out guys about their lifestyles. And let's not forget, Terence Crawford in the build-up to the Errol Spence fight also tweeted at him saying, I know some of the shit you're doing, and you know what I'm talking about. Clean it up, mister, or otherwise no fight. So, people talk in these boxing circles. And so Ryan Garcia, and here's the other thing. Ryan Garcia shows up to the Valuetainment podcast. He shows up with a leather jacket on. And then he starts talking real fast, and then he takes it off because it looked like he was sweating. So I don't know if that's an indication that he was on something. Then he's got a plate of crackers or whatever, and he's eating on the air while he's being interviewed, munching on fucking crackers. You can hear it all. It was disgusting. Then he grabs his finger. At one point he starts tweeting while Patrick David, whatever his name is interviewing him, which is very distracting and impolite. Then at one point, when he's shoving crackers down his throat like he's a homeless guy, they're going to take the plate away from him at the shelter any minute now. He's just garnishing himself with food. He grabs his finger, sticks it in his mouth, and starts digging in his molars for crumbs. It was disgusting. I mean, it just goes to show you, he might have a lot of money, but boy, oh boy, does he lack a little bit in the... we should say, use that money to go to charm school or something, because he's got no manners.
BDA, I think I dropped you a clip too right there where he like says himself he looks like the gay friend. That's how he describes himself.
Okay, well, let me see if I can download it while I'm on the air here. But yeah, and like somebody else mentioned in the chat, his voice was raspy too. You know what that means. He was probably partying the day before.
I don't know if it's true too. I was told it was one of the lowest rated Bet Park, the BDA or whatever podcast. It did terrible numbers.
He did terrible numbers, Jimmy. That's what I heard too.
Well, let's go. I'm gonna check it out. But first, let's play this video here that Sobers just sent me.
I look like the guy just like, yo, that's like, I mean, I don't know if this is offensive, but like the gay friend, you know what I mean?
I mean, you heard the raspy voice. You heard him chewing while he's on the air. Just all around disgusting.
Did he say the gay friend? Did he say the gay friend?
He said, I look like the guy that,
Yeah, I would be like, you talking about yourself?
Well, why would
fucking such a fruity vibe from that dude?
Why would he think that he looks like the gay friend?
You know the raspy voice. I've known people that pop pills and shit like that. When they do it like for such a long time and they get really high off that shit, they kind of sound that way. They got that raspy voice and shit.
Like IBFP says, he looks like the type of guy that would fall in love in prison. I mean, I'm just saying, it's very weird.
Yeah, he looks like the kind of guy that guys in prison fight for. So you better be careful, bro.
Okay, I'm looking at.
Oh no.
I'm looking at the PBD podcast here. 228,000 views. Now, that's a lot compared to us. That's
Before you watch this exclusive.
I think that let's compare to the highest rated shows they've had. So this average shows where they have. This one had 355,000. Yeah, just the regular shows actually have more views. With this one, with Glenn Beck, has 500,000. Yeah, these numbers are underwhelming. Look, Colby Covington did 300,000 or more than 300,000. Meanwhile, Ryan Garcia did 228,000. Maybe it's people are tired of the Ryan Garcia hype train, or maybe he's just not that well known.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was shocked to see him as a guest on that. I'm like, Jesus, of all the boxes, that's who you're going to get on? That little twink?
Well,
Jimmy,
you know why it is, though.
Favors when he made himself second fiddle to Tank. That's what it is. When these negotiations are very important, and when you make a decision to basically compromise yourself, you're saying that you're the co-star. You're not the main star.
Yeah, and I think the people who booked the shows for him went by his social media footprint. I mean, the fact that I just have lost what little respect I had for him. the fact that he attached his name this week to fucking Inoue to try to grab some fucking name recognition off him, to me was just crossing the line. Yeah, I could see us fighting. Like, really, dude? You really doing this?
Oh, Inoue's 5'5", 125 pounds. You're fucking, you're 5'11", whatever it is, and fucking 160. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's just disgusting. It's lowbrow. He was just attaching his name. Listen, kid, you're a fucking prospect at best. You know what I mean? And you're attaching your name to the most accomplished fighter in the sport for fucking just for name. It's clout. Clout surfing at its worst. Fuck out of here, dude, and fight somebody.
Now, I'll say this, man. Because we were talking earlier about the Fury fight, Usyk fight. Luckily, there is a Fury that might be fighting pretty soon. And that is, of course, John Fury, who has challenged Carl Froch to a boxing match. Of course, Carl Froch has been long retired. Moreover, John Fury is significantly older and a heavyweight. So it's a weird matchup.
I got my money on Carl Froch knocking this fucking old man out.
Well, I mean, that's what John Fury wants. Also, last thing about that fight there, the Fury-Usyk fight. Now, some people are jumping into the conspiracy theory train here, and they're saying that where was it? Because they released a new poster for the rescheduled fight, and in one of on the poster, okay, here it is. You see, it's like a comic book type style poster.
I saw that.
And supposedly you see Fury, and some people are saying that he looks scared. That was the article here on Boxing News 24. Is Usyk scared? Does he look petrified in the poster? And again, I think people are just looking for anything now to create something out of nothing. I mean, I don't know. It could be. But what do you guys think? Does he look scared?
Looks like a hitman with a bald head, right?
Yeah. He looks like Anton LaVey. Both guys are bald now, by the way. All right. So that's what it is right there. Shout out to Undercover Asian Chris K for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Ryan might as well transition and dominate women's boxing. It's coming, man.
And Mr. BDI, didn't you mean Fury looks scared? Because you said Usyk looks scared. I thought you meant, because in that poster, it's Fury who has the scared eyes in that drawing. The wide open,
Did I misspeak? Because I thought that said Fury.
Yeah, you
you said Usyk. That's why I was because I was confused. Yeah, all right. I wanted to make sure. Sure.
All right, thank you for correcting me. Yeah, thank you for correcting me. What I meant to say was Fury. That the theory is that Fury looks petrified there. Now, again, why would they put that on the poster? Like, who the guy who's designing the poster is going to go, hey, I think Fury pulled out of the first fight. Let me put him in there with a scared face. I mean, again, I think people now are jumping at grasping at straws.
You don't get it. You don't get it. They're both red. The red theme. They're both what? What's their background?
The red theme. What's their background? The fire, right?
Right. The fire. They're two white guys.
Oh, they're going to hell because they're white?
Fight May 18th.
Nah, okay. Yeah, maybe a black Israelite drew this poster, maybe. The other thing that I wanted to mention was, okay, so we have the Amazon card coming up in the end of March, and I don't know if any of you guys saw the press conference between Tim Tszyu and Keith Thurman, but people were saying that it looked a low budget, and it looked like it was held in a school hall, and then the podium. I'm gonna look for a photograph here, but that podium did look. That's one thing that really raised my eyebrow. Go, boy, what? The podium looked like a piece of wood, a slab of wood, and it was all scratched up, like they found that at a thrift store or something. They couldn't have at least put, like people on Twitter were saying that at least they could have put a drape over it or something with the names, Tszyu versus Thurman. They didn't even do that. Well, now people are speculating about how low budget is the broadcast going to look like, because again, Showtime used to provide the infrastructure for the event. You get the truck with the satellite, you get the equipment for the editing, you get the cameras, you get the lighting that has to look good so that the image looks way better than it should be, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the questions. So here is Steven Espinoza, former president of Showtime Boxing, or Sports or whatever the fuck
The
it was.
Weasel.
Come on. And this from the Boxing Voice, and they caught up to him at the press conference, and they're asking him questions about the future and what his role is in all of this.
Weasel!
About his role in all of this, and here's what he had to say. Hold on a second. Hey, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, Forget to say it. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. It really helps us out.
What do you think we're doing here? Hit the fucking like button.
Yeah, what do you think? This is free? This ain't Amazon.
Well,
all right, hold on.
Smoothly as it can.
So, how much say would you say that you have at this point in the PBC and Amazon?
Okay, so sorry, but the guy's quality sounds bad when he's talking because he's behind the microphone, but he's essentially asking Steven Espinosa what his role is going to be with the PBC now and the Amazon deal.
Upon junction.
Look, I'm not president of anything anymore. I don't have a department working with me. It's more of a collaboration because, again, look, I didn't do everything and determine everything in my old role. I think people saw me as the head of an organization, but clearly there's a lot of talented people who deserve more credit than me. But now, it's a team of people, and we're putting together a new team. Because one of the things, the network has been producing these fights for the last 37 years. Now, the way Amazon is working on the pay-per-view deal and non-pay-per-view deal, PBC is producing. So you've got to put together a team, a social media team, a marketing team, a production team. That's what I'm helping do. Identify, good people, good opportunities, help structure the telecast so it looks like something fresh and new.
All right, so from what we gathered from that little clip there, and it goes on, it's for 16 minutes, he's not with them with an official capacity. It's more like an unofficial capacity, some sort of consultation maybe there's a consultation fee involved in there, I don't know. So he's essentially going to be identifying the talent to put together this card from a technical perspective. But Jimmy, the question then becomes, are they getting any money out of this? Now, real quick, somebody asked him, the same guy that was getting into it with Jared Anderson, in the last episode we were talking about, he asked, he made a post about how Spinoza is essentially saying they have no money from Amazon to put together the fight. Okay, for some reason I can't read the comments here on Twitter, but somebody asked him straight up, Spinoza, hey, are you getting money then from Amazon? And he said, of course. So Jimmy, what do you make of this?
Well, then he's contradicting himself because clearly right there he says, for 37 years, the network, Showtime, which he drove into the ground, so that's classic that he's now fucking helping the PBC, produced. And produced means paid for, right? That's what a producer does in movies. The producers, the money people. The PBC is now producing it. So that means they're paying, they're going out of pocket. So is he lying on Twitter or is he lying now in that interview? I was told that Amazon is nothing other than a provider. They're just giving a platform. They're not giving them any money. Okay, I mean, they just lost $1 billion on that fucking Lord of the Rings garbage. They've been getting their ass kicked and streaming. No, it is what it is. They've been getting throttled money-wise. I can't see them, especially, listen, you can't forget about the metrics. You can't forget that Espinosa with his weasel word salad. And I mean, if you guys take it upon yourself, everybody else listen to this, go and just listen to the same day interview. Probably, I think it was right after that, he's interviewed by Ellie Setback, and the things that come out of his mouth, the excuses he makes why Davis isn't fighting anybody, it's just outrageous. To leave your jaw open, and that's just what he does. It's all weasel word salad, but it's the same fucking thing. No, they're not getting any money. If they had any money, they would have already released. Remember, they announced this deal with Amazon 3 weeks before Christmas. We're in February, and they've announced one card, and it's Tim Tszyu, okay, against the utterly irrelevant fucking retired Keith Thurman. And for this clown to sit there with his goofy weasel smile saying, well, no, they got me on. He is a consultant, like I said on the show 3 weeks ago before any of this was reported. I said on the podcast, so I'm going to let me break my arms, pat myself on the back. But I told the podcast, I said, I was told that he's been as the consultant with the PBC. So yeah, he's in charge of hiring, like he said, the social media, which is, I'll say their names now, Punch Drunk Boxing, Ellie Setback, Jake Donovan, and pretty much anybody else you can think of who would sell their credit for their credibility for a fucking credentials. Just the worst of the worst, who will say and do anything. And like right now, for instance, I'm going to go into this route. It's going to take a second, but Jake Donovan, because obviously everybody knows the Sheik said that he will go out of pocket to pay for Haney Davis, meaning there's no excuse for them not to fight now. The money's there. That's always been the thing. We don't want to, put it out of our pocket to, make Haney famous. No, this guy's like, I'll pay for everything. Come on over. Oh, and then he's like, well, I want 2 Ferraris. And the Sheik said, I'll give you 2 gloves, boxing glove. That's it. So he's embarrassed Davis now because he has no excuse when he turns around now and fights Frank Martin or fucking Isaac Cruz or some other one-dimensional, hand-picked guy, no-hoper that he can beat up on. So they embarrass Network, so he's got his little minions that Jake Donovan's poo-pooing on. Like, that's why if anybody's seen this tweet recently put out about why we've selling our talent overseas. They should be fighting here in the USA. That's their backhanded way of trying to shit on Saudi Arabian guys about putting on the fights there, because Davis has no intentions of ever fighting anyone good. And he was the architect of all that. Fucking Steven Espinoza. Okay? And he ran the fucking boxing off Showtime, lost his job there, and they're just continuing the same old trash.
Well, here's what he had to say, because somebody brought that up again on Twitter about how, hey, based off of this interview that we just played you, that snippet, it shows that Amazon will not provide a budget or provide some funding to the PBC card. And so Steve Espinosa said, couldn't be more wrong, as usual. So he had to add a little snide remark there at the end. More and more platforms, especially, but not exclusively streaming platforms, have decided they don't want to hire personnel and create a production infrastructure. For example, Major League Soccer on Apple TV doesn't mean cost of production isn't covered. So again, he's not answering the question, but then he does answer the question when somebody asks him straight up. He says, so is Amazon giving PBC a budget or not? And Stephen Espinosa said, of course they are. Now, what does that mean though? Are they giving them a budget? If it is a budget, then how much? Because again, people are complaining that the press conference looked low budget. Now, maybe Amazon has nothing to do with that. Remains to be seen. But Espinosa, like Jimmy said, is a guy that he's a lawyer. They tend to give you the runaround with their talk, very circuitous. They try to give you they try to bamboozle you sometimes. They use a lot of rhetoric. And so what does he mean by they are giving us a budget? Does he mean they're giving them a budget? Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Well, let me add to that. If they are, it's actually worse for the PBC if they are giving them a budget, because that means if they're giving them a budget, right? They're paying for these fights. So that means it's not just we're going to give you the platform, you put on whatever you put on. That means the numbers are going to be very important to them because they're going out of pocket. And so when those numbers come in for Thurman, Zoo, and it doesn't even crack 50,000 and it loses money, if you're a fan of the PBC, you don't want these guys to be getting a budget, because how long do you think fucking they're going to go put up with that shit? Really? And remember too, everybody was saying Amazon didn't want to pay-per-view their first fight. And what's their first fight? And it's Steven Espinosa. We have a whole new crowd of people, a bigger platform to reach. Not if you put it behind a paywall. You're not reaching those people, because that means people have to specifically search this out and pay for it. I wouldn't trust anything, because the only time he's honest is when he fucks up and he says shit honestly. No, it's true. Like he said about Davis. He would sit there on Twitter and never come out and say, yeah, but he would laugh at it. Ridiculous. And he would say, but when people would say the PBC's lying about Tank Davis's pay-per-view sales, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And he went, oh, no. And then he turned around, he blew it up himself by when he said this is the second biggest fight behind Rolly, but it didn't hit 200,000. How could that be when all those other fights are 75, 300? So he catches himself when he lies, which a lot of liars do. They eventually out themselves. And the same thing with when he said it was sellouts. Remember when Sally Ekbeck said Davis had 11 sellouts in a row, and the weasel sitting there nodding his head. did. No, he didn't. You fucking liar. He's had 2 sellouts his entire career. Everything about Davis is smoke and mirrors, and the PBC sucks. And I'm glad Matisse left.
It's like that old saying, if you're going to lie, you better have a good memory. Now, I want to say something about that, Jimmy, because, and I've been adamant about this, when the PBC started in 2015, I was rooting for them. I wanted, free TV, free boxing on network television. Shit, why not? I'm on board. But ever since then, they started stalling big fights. For every good fight they gave us, it was 5 fights that nobody wanted to see. Then 2023 came along, and people were, I remember, in the middle of 2023, people were bragging, you see, BBC's putting on the best fights, better than anyone else. Yeah, all of them on pay-per-view. Sometimes some of these fights were a little too late. Past their expiration date. And progressively, the PBC has gotten inferior with the quality of their product. The quality of their product has gone down for the past years. You can't compare it to what it was 5 years and tell me it's been improving. They're on Amazon now with 12 dates for a roster of 80-something fighters. But we're going to get to that because, like Jimmy said, Matias, there's some news there that just came out today about him leaving for the zone. I was rooting for the PBC, but you can't deny the fact that they've been going down in quality. And the other thing I see a lot of people on Twitter, for example, is when you start talking about the money and they go, why do you care? Why are you so concerned about the finances of a promotional? Because we want to see, it gives us an indication of what they're doing, whether they're putting on the right fights, the fights that the boxing people demand, whether they're going to be around for a while or not. It just helps for a lot of reasons like that, those to keep track of what these people are doing financially. Again, it's not like I'm reading the trade papers, Wall Street, to see exactly, going through the books, but the point is you want to know about these things. So when I hear people say that, they go, why are you so concerned? That just means I translate that as saying, please stop talking about it because we can't defend it. I've seen other people on Twitter too, they're trying to defend the PBC and they go, it's funny how all of these people want to be financial experts. But these people that defend the PBC, they never actually give you any new information. Never give you any behind-the-scenes stuff, any breaking news to dissuade or counter argue the things that people are seeing. Again, we're seeing PBC on Amazon. Their main event, they should be coming out with a bang. And their bang is Keith Thurman, who hasn't fought since February 2022, taking on Tim Tszyu. And then you have... And people say,
5 years.
There you go. And then people go, what about Lara versus Zerafa, the male stripper? Yeah, 2 guys that haven't fought since 2022 either. And by the way, the best fight on that card is Isaac Cruz versus Rolly Romero. Neither of those guys have fought since the summer of 2023. So there's a lot of inactivity. There's going to be a lot of guys shaking off the rust, and you have to pay for that. Pay-per-view price. It's not free on Amazon with your Amazon subscription. So nobody can really look at that and say that PBC is beyond criticism compared to where they were 5 years ago, and you can't tell me that they've been improving or that they're in the same situation. It's gone down. It's gone down.
And anybody defending it on Twitter, I'll tell you right now, the fucking credit score, they're losers who don't even buy pay-per-views. So fuck them.
It is what it is.
I've had it with those fucking flea bags.
Yeah, you see, that's ultimately what you get with some of these people is you realize they're not actually paying for the pay-per-views. That's why they like or have no problems with these cards. They go, that's a great card. Yeah, because you're not paying for it. You're watching it on the internet, so you think so it's free for you. So you think it's a pretty good card. And by the way, speaking of cards or whatever, yes, we're on the air. We're live on the air here on with the Blog Talk. So the phone lines are open, fellas. Phone lines are open. If you want to call in, the phone number is right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. Call in. Let us know your thoughts on everything that's been going on. The fight this Thursday, Fury Usyk, PBC on Amazon, whatever. But yeah, Jimmy, so that's the other thing then. Matias is going with the zone.
That's great. That's probably the best champion, I would say. Most feared. That kid looks like he's going to be a tough out. Of course he's blasting out of there. He saw that, wait a minute, I'm on this side of the street and I can't get anybody to fight me. You know what I mean? And he sees it. And another thing, too, I just say this, where's all the young talent? And especially the African-American talent. And I hate using that African-American because they're not African, they're American.
Afro-Anglo.
Because especially, Afro-Anglo. Well, it's not because there's people from Africa who come move here. Those are African-Americans. There's people, just black Americans. Well, how come they're not signing with Al Haymon? That was the thing, right? He got all the black American fighters. Why are they all Abdullah Mason, who's unbelievable, Keyshawn Davis, all the young studs are signing with Top Rank. There's a reason not signing with Haymon, including the young kid who signed with Golden Boy, who's a hot prospect. He didn't sign with Al. He sat down with Al, and when his father, who's from the music industry himself, saw the contract, he said, wait a minute, I've seen these contracts before. You hold my likeness. I can't even use my name. If I show up in my hometown and fucking do a 10-second commercial for a local dealership, Al Haymon gets 15% of that? Like, this is crazy. So he didn't even get past the initial meeting. He bounced out of there. So, yeah, my thing is this. Anybody says, oh, you're just, first off, when somebody says hate, oh, you're just a hater, that translates to you're saying facts that I can't debunk. But because I'm an emotional fucking moron and have to let my feelings fucking be told like a 16-year-old girl on her period, I'm going to say you're a hater because I have to say something. No, I've just had it with that whole section of fucking fans because they're not fans. They don't go to the fights. They don't buy pay-per-views. They're just loud on Twitter. That's all they are.
Now, I will say that Matias, first of all, I agree with everything you said. But Matias is going to be taking on Liam Paro, the guy that just knocked out, or stopped rather, Montana Love. And Liam Paro, or a.k.a. Pajaro, he's a very good fighter. So, man, that's another southpaw that Matias just seems to love fighting southpaw. So, we'll see what happens with that one. So, we got a couple of phone calls here. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. It really helps us out. All right, let's go to a phone call here. And let's make it snappy, concise, terse, succinct. 470, you on the air, 470. What's on your mind?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, indeed. 470, what's up?
So, you guys, I just started listening. Did you guys do a show to discuss Fury and Usyk? You guys don't seem too outraged.
We didn't do a show about it, but we talked about it in the beginning of this podcast.
Okay, so you guys know the history. It's been almost 2 years where the fight's been delayed. Fury asked for, I think, $500 million. Then it was pushed back. Then he fought Chisora. Then he fought Ngannou, and was supposed to fight in December. Then February, with this excuse now. So, to me, Fury. I don't know. I didn't believe that this fight would happen in February. I'm skeptical about May. I guess he was cut. If you want to be cut, then I guess you get cut. However that happened, I have my skepticism. I'm skeptical about the fight even happening in May. To me, I just view Fury. He's acting like a kid in school, middle school, high school, and going up against another bully. And, he realizes he might get his ass kicked. And so I kind of thought that the cut was the only way legally out of the fight was a broken bone or a cut, because those are the only two ways that he could get out, and they couldn't do anything to him legally, because you can't force somebody to fight with that kind of injury. So I knew something would come up, and now, I don't know what. I mean, three months from now, who knows what could happen in the world events in the Middle East. There's war going on there right now. So, to me, he's going to wait. Maybe Usyk gets sick. Maybe Usyk gets hurt, and then wait till the last minute to pull something again. I want to talk about PBC. PBC. I mean, it's just obvious now. It's like PBC, they just moved from network to network, company to company. It's the same group of guys. That's why Espinoza, it don't really matter if he has a title or official position at Amazon, like he said, that, they don't have an infrastructure. I think he's just getting paid a consultancy fee, as long as he's getting paid. But it's the same group of guys, trusted guys. They have the assets. Who are the boxers? They just move them from network to network to network. They don't really care about if the network goes under or loses money. Remember with Showtime before Floyd Mayweather got there, they were just showing mostly UK fights and the Super 6. So they benefited for, I don't know how many years that was now, 6, maybe 4, 5, 6 years. So, yeah, they've got Tank Davis. They got Canelo. They got Caleb Plant. And they just, hey, they're going to milk those assets. I think, and that's why Tank Davis absolutely cannot go fight over in the Middle East. He's got to stay over here. He absolutely, no chance he's going to lose any kind of fight whatsoever because they got that asset. And they the whole team, whether it's Heyman, Mayweather, Espinoza, everybody associated with PBC that's down with the program and loyal, they get paid. And they're doing the same thing as Top Rank and even like a Don King. The difference is it's so blatant with PBC, with Top Rank. Top Rank, they have their program too, but they at least it still feels like a sport with them, where they still actually want to develop guys and build guys. But with PBC, it's just so obvious. It's just you can just tell it's a hustle. They just view boxing as a hustle to make money. So. That's my thoughts, and we'll see what they come up with this year on Amazon.
Yeah, we'll see. 12 dates for a roster of 80 people. But again, the Matias is leaving the PBC for the greener pastures over at the zone. So we might be from here on out, we might be seeing more of those type of news coming out about former PBC fighters now suddenly gaining other employment elsewhere. All right, well, listen, thank you for your call, and call back next, all right? Take it easy.
One last thing. Sure. I just wanted to add. I just thought it was funny how Keith Thurman turned Zoo into a Mexican, right?
Yeah, well.
So, what he said, I don't lose to no flat-footed Mexican. So, and then some Mexicans on social media, they got, upset about that. I saw Fernando Vargas Jr. on Instagram. But, they just created shit, they might start selling pay-per-views off of that now, but we'll see what happens. But, I just thought that was kind of funny. They found a way to turn Tim Zhu from Australia into temporary Mexican for the pay-per-view. So we'll see how the numbers do.
I don't know if the Mexicans are going to buy it just because of that, because people have said about Mayweather, Mayweather sold back in the day because people hated him. I don't know how people come to that conclusion. I don't know if that's a sound business practice to attract viewers. If anything, if somebody hates a fighter, they're just going to, today in the age of the internet, they're just going to steal the pay-per-view. Although Mexicans do tend to buy pay-per-views more, I think the opposite probably would fail. Like if one guy's fighting a runner, and he goes, I didn't know Australia made Afro-Anglo type fighters. I don't know if that would work because you saw what happened with Crawford and Spence.
I don't think it was only. Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think it's only because they hated Mayweather. It's that Mayweather, he was a polarizing personality. So what he would do is, if he's fighting a Latino, you make sure that the entire Latino boxing fan base just gets so agitated, and they just they become involved, and they get their emotions involved, and then they want to support the Latino fighter, whether it's Cotto, Canelo, Guerrero, Marquez, whoever, even Pacquiao. He's just good at that. And so it just makes everybody want to see it. You got the whole black versus Latino thing. And he would just, and that's what, I don't know, I just kind of saw them trying to do that with, it looked pre-planned to me.
Again, I don't know if the Mayweather thing, I've never got that. Mexicans will watch boxing because in general, Mexicans are big boxing fans. I don't think it really has to do anything with them being emotional over it. So, and I was around back in those Mayweather days talking to a lot of Mexicans on message boards. But because again, you're seeing Haney trying to do that, trying to be unlikable, and he's doing shit pay-per-view numbers. Maybe in 5 years from now, maybe he'll get to Mayweather's. But that's a different thing too. How to become mainstream. It's a formula that nobody really knows. It's not set in stone. So we'll see what happens. All right. Well, listen. Thank you for your call and call back next. All right. Take it easy out there.
All right, guys. Yep.
So we're on our phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. 510, you're on the air. 510, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up? Can you guys hear me okay?
Absolutely. 510, what's up?
Yeah, what's up, Jimmy? What's up, Recognize? What's up, BDA? Shout out to Nightmare. Shout out to Boxing Chief. Shout out to Larry Liston. Shout out to Reverend Pickles. Shout out to everybody else. Shout out to Stockton, California. I just wanted to say this. You didn't forget. I know you love cutting people off.
You forgot. Booty Juice, you forgot Tess Hobers. What's the matter with you?
Who?
You forgot to say hi to Never Sobers.
Sobers.
Yeah.
Okay, what's up, bitch?
You mean
Who's that?
You mean always hoping?
Who's Nova
You mean
Sobers?
the Canelita Lieutenant? That guy?
Sobers is calling you the Canelita Lieutenant.
I mean, I don't talk about Canelo nearly as much as he does, bro. He can't call in without mentioning his name. So, I think you're more than him than I am, bro.
Well, hey, I said this before, so I'm gonna say it to you again.
It's funny because it's true, right?
I'm gonna say whatever the fuck I want to say. I'm gonna talk however the fuck I want to talk on here. So that's just what it is. Sorry about that. You might have to, I'm only gonna take maybe 10 or 5 or 6 minutes of your time. That's it. I mean, I'm pretty sure you taking no harder things in the ass. So. You know what I mean? I don't know what to tell you, bro. I love how you don't keep the same energy though offline.
Your name is Booty Loose,
how come you don't say this shit or try to talk when you're on the Discord when you're like in the background though, bro? What's up with that?
You want me to talk shit to you on the Discord too? Okay, I'll do that from now on.
No, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, like you're so butthurt about some stupid shit. Like I said, I'm gonna talk however the fuck it is I want to talk about Canelo. I'm gonna talk about his mom, his dad, his family, his fucking dog. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna say what the fuck I want to say. So can you like stop looking for clout? Are you just one of those other clout-seeking bitches too?
You sound obsessed, bro.
Like what the fuck do you want?
You sound obsessed, bro.
Huh?
You sound obsessed, bro. You sound obsessed.
I'm obsessed. I'm upset or obsessed?
I didn't even know he had any pets, bro. You know he got dogs.
I don't know if he does. He has horses. I would imagine he's from that area, so it's not difficult to deduce that. Anyways, whatever, man. Just like shut the fuck up, please, for like 5 minutes. Anyways, let me say this. First of all, let me say this. Can you mute that guy, BDA, please?
I avoid muting people, but go ahead. He won't interrupt you.
Come on, this is bullshit. All right, man. Anyways, let me say this real quick. Usyk and Fury, I think Fury's a cocksucker for what he's doing. I try to give him a benefit of the doubt when it comes to like him, fighting or whatever. Like he has some skill, but I think what he did, that shit just kind of bothers me. It annoys me that this guy just, for whatever reason, he's always up to some gypsy shit. I'm sorry to say, but that's there's a stereotype for a reason. So it's kind of bullshit. Like I said, I was kind of rooting for him a bit because it is a great matchup, all things considered. I want to see Usyk win though now because I think it's unacceptable for the guy. Like as you guys mentioned before, the camera quality is fishy, the angle's a bit fishy. Just the whole situation is bullshit. I think the Saudi should have scoped it out beforehand. At least that's what I would have done. Like, look, this guy might got pull some bullshit. I would assume. I was thinking that the Saudis didn't have like serious time constraints, but since he, since I guess it's a factor now because it is going to fuck up their schedule. Yeah, I would have scoped it out, and I would just specifically say, look, Fury, if you happen to whatever bullshit you have to, do your dog get your homework or whatever, all this bullshit, I would have just told him like, you're gonna pay a fine regardless. You know what I mean? Just to have some assurance. So, because that motherfucker, it's funny at first, but he really needs to stop that bullshit, man. I kind of just like the fact he talks himself up as this Blake fighter, as this very skilled fighter. But I mean, let's look at his record. He's not really that impressive. I mean, he's good for the era. I think it's similar to the Canelo effect. He's good for the era, but it's only because he's, the heavy, specifically the heavyweight division's dog shit. It's not that good of an era. So hopefully Usyk wins. Hopefully Usyk beats his ass and knocks him the fuck out because that's what he deserves. So fuck him. And then I was gonna say this about the PBC. I'm not surprised about the PBC. Look, Al Heyman's looking out for himself. He always has been. He always will be. A lot of these guys are in the same vein. They're just cocksuckers looking to, make some, essentially hustling in name of the company. So I don't really see any of their behaviors to change in the future. It's just what it is. So fuck them too. I'm not surprised. And hopefully for this upcoming matchup for Teofimo, I'm looking forward to the matchup. I like the matchup. I got Teofimo like later stoppage, and sometimes in the 9th or 10th round. Hopefully in the future he ends up fighting. I just want to see better competition from him.
Wrap it up, bro.
I understand you guys find what he says is annoying. What was that?
Sobers is telling.
Wrap it up, bro.
Sobers is suggesting that you might want to be a little bit more succinct from here on.
I still have look. I'm keeping time too. I still have 2 minutes and 17 seconds left. So shut the fuck up. Anyways, like I said, like I was talking, right? Yeah, Teofimo, he's a dynamic fighter. I enjoy his style. I think once again, you guys are making too much out of his mental condition or whatever, or his current mental condition. I think his mental state is fine. I think at this point in his career, he's got to turn it up. He's got to start putting people, way better performances than he used to be, or he has before in the past. So hopefully, when he does fucking fight Lomachenko or anybody else, hopefully we see another level of Teofimo. My only issue has always been with him is just, he's susceptible to like getting cut. And then additionally, if he ever decides to, if he relies too much on his like physical abilities, I think from one night to the other, I foresee that to happen in the future, where he just like certainly flops. Because what you guys said before about him, being, not.
Boy, we gotta move on, man. We gotta move on here. You're going on about you're going way too in depth for a short phone call here. But we get your point. You made your point.
So what do you want from me, man? So when I describe shit and I try to break it down, you guys get mad at the fact. And when I don't, this guy's a casual. This guy is the
I never said that. I've never said. I don't remember saying that. By the way, the language too. The language too.
Why you got to use all this kind of language, huh?
Yeah, the language it's unnecessary.
Dude,
to drive your point.
Sorry about it, but this is how I speak, man. This is what this is how I choose to articulate myself. If I decided, I don't think it matters at this point. If I decide to make appropriate language, you guys are just gonna say, "Oh, this guy, he's using big words for no reason." If I don't, then you guys think I'm whatever the fuck you think I am. But anyway, yeah, I'll just end with that. Hopefully, I got Teofimo. Hopefully, he beats the shit out of this guy, runs through him. I think he has all the advantages in terms of tactical ability. The speed, the angles, even the chin.
Man, let me just fucking speak.
I just want to see a good fight. Hopefully, it's a good showing.
All right, Mr. Booty Juice, your point your point was well received. Sorry, I just had to cut you off because I saw that you were going into another avenue. You obviously have a lot to say. You're thinking deeply about this.
Yeah, you love cutting people off. Yeah, no. You love cutting people. It's all good. It is what it is. You don't love me talking about your boyfriend Canelo. It is what it is. I understand.
Go ahead.
You're agitated by that. Every single time I said anything like that's truthful and honest about the guy, you decide to be like, bitchy about it. It is what it is. I don't blame you for it. You're just doing you're just following your nature, BDA. It's all good.
Are you still going, man? Jeez Louise. Did you take some of what Dora takes? Did you take some of what Dora takes? Because my goodness, you're quite the talkative little parrot there today. All right, listen, I appreciate the sentiment. I appreciate the call. Booty Juice, always call back, and we'll catch you on the next one. Right, man? Take it easy out there.
Yeah, fuck Canelo, fuck the Canelitas. All right, thank you.
There you go. I had to bring up Canelo there, even though we're talking about Fury. All right, fellas, don't forget to hit the like. It really helps us out. Let's go to another phone call here. Hey, by the way, the phone number's in the left-hand middle portion of your screen, so call in. 713, you're on the air. 713, what's on your mind?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, 713, what's up?
Hello? Yeah, I hope the Amazon pay-per-view is not going to be like $100 like on Showtime. I would buy it if it's less than what the Zone offers it, but it has to be less because the Zone is like $25, no contract, just 1 month. But I got Amazon Prime, but if they got that pay-per-view model, I'm not paying $100 to see the only fight that's attractive, Cruz versus Rolly. That's about it. I don't want to see Thurman because I think he's going to lose anyway versus Zoo. That's my take on it. I wish Teofimo the best. I think he's going to win, and that's about it. Thank you for having me on the show. Thanks, bye.
Oh, all right. Thank you, man. Thank you for your call. Call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
Hey, Booty Juice, take notes, bro.
That was precise in the sync. He's going to be upset because it's $80.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I just want to point out that was a black and white type of phone calls that we just get. You saw one where it's over like a stream of consciousness, unmedicated type of call. And then you had the other one where it was straight to the point. No, but I'm not saying it was a bad call. I'm just saying it's two different type of calls. Just pointing out the differences there. And that's why I enjoyed hearing from different people because everyone has their different style. So keep it up, guys. Keep calling in. What else we were going to talk about? All right, so yeah, there's a lot to say about that PBC deal. Subriel Matias taking on Pájaro, a.k.a. Liam Paro, on the Zone. That's going to be a good fight. Now, the one thing that is sort of perplexing to me here is Tank Davis and Conor Benn are going at it on Twitter. And I believe it was Tank Davis who initiated the confrontation. Now, my thing is this. People pointed it out straight away on Twitter. How come Tank Davis is making a big deal of fighting Haney, making a big deal of the weight issue, how there needs to be a rehydration clause, but now wants to fight a guy in Conor Benn who just fought this Saturday, second fight in a row that he's fighting above the welterweight limit. Now all of a sudden Tank Davis wants to fight him. Guys, what's going on with the Tank Davis hype train?
Because he's full of shit.
He wants to train Conor Benn. It's obvious. He wants to wait. Thinks that Ben will do it, and he's trying to avoid a fight with Devin Haney. Look, Devin Haney is a weight bully, and Tank dehydrates his opponent. So it's a struggle to sign that contract, right? You're gonna get that. So he thinks that maybe Conor Benn is not in that situation, and he's probably right about that. And he thinks that he can get him to drain himself and say, "Oh, look at me! I knocked out Conor Benn. Well, I beat Conor Benn." You know, that's all that is.
Yeah, and I'd go one thing. You even give him more credit than I would, my boy. I don't think he has intention to fight anybody. I mean, where was that? I mean, this is the same motherfucker who wouldn't say a word that began with L and or L and O because it sounds too much like Lomachenko, the scared fuck. He ain't fighting anybody. He don't have the same energy for the people around him in his own weight class, but he wants to talk shit. And another thing, that can't be him because that kid can't either read or spell. The motherfucker can't produce a whole sentence. I'm half retarded, and I sound like fucking Einstein next to that clown.
You're regular William James when you speak compared to him, Jimmy. And no, but listen, you know why he's going after Conor Benn. Because Conor Benn's a little Wolverine in there. He's 5'7". They say he's 5'8". He looks like he's 5'7". So I think the PBC Brain Trust probably believes, hey, the height difference wouldn't be substantial. Conor Benn likes to go at fighters, which is what Tank Davis loves because he's a counterpuncher. He's not a go-getter. That's something that they could make. Remember that there were rumors a week and a half ago that Tank Davis had a fight lined up in England, the UK. So maybe that's what they were talking about. Maybe they were already pulling the strings for that one. But makes you wonder, how come Tank Davis has been around since 2016 at super featherweight, now at lightweight, and he has yet to even touch a guy. In either of those divisions, he always avoided fighting the best guy in that division. Meanwhile, Haney has fought the best. Lopez has fought the best. This guy has yet to do so, and he's from the same generation. No, he's even from the prior generation too, because he won a title before them. Yeah. So,
well, did you hear the Weasel? Did you hear what he had to say? He said when asked, how come, whatever his name is, the fucking Ellie Setback, whatever that clown, when he set up the conversation with Steve, and he said, a lot of fans on Twitter don't know how big he is. Why don't you tell us how big his brand is? And Espinoza, the Weasel, went on to say he's a phenomenon and all this other shit, but never actually said about anything he's accomplished in the sport. But then when he said, and I know a lot of people complain about his resume, he hasn't fought Shakur, he hasn't fought Haney. The Weasel actually turned around and said, but Haney hasn't fought Shakur. I mean, Tank and Shakur hasn't fought Tank. Are you kidding me? You just left out all the other people those guys did fight, though. What's the one common denominator? Your fighter has fought nobody in over 7 years. It's been 7 years since he fought Pedraza.
And even when he fights a guy that's got some substantial physical qualities like hand speed and power, and I'm talking about Ryan Garcia or a guy like Mario Barrios, he dehydrates him. And again, I posted, that the boxing is the most shocking moments of 2023, and I was reading the comments. I don't reply to them anymore if they're unworthy. Because one guy goes, "Oh, you're complaining about a couple of pounds." Fucker, we've been over this before. If Tank Davis didn't need, if dehydrating him had no effect on him, on Ryan Garcia, why would Tank Davis ask for it? And we don't even have to go down that route. Tank Davis himself said, Ryan Garcia has too many attributes in his corner. I got to even things out. I got to make things fair, he said. So he's telling you he implemented that for that very reason. So again, people just don't want to listen to it. The Tank Davis fans, the few of them that are out there, because it's not like Canelo fans that are all over the place or Anthony Joshua, they refuse. I mean, I don't understand why they defend this guy. I think they live vicariously through him. I think they identify with the guy. I think they relate to him. And I think the more crimes he commits, the more they relate to him, which is disturbing, to say the least. And number two, look, Gervonta Davis, he at least he scores knockouts. I agree with that. But when people go, oh, well, Haney should bend the knee because Tank Davis is the A side, let's stop pretending, like Jimmy said, let's stop pretending like Gervonta Davis is in the same periphery or world as Joshua and Canelo, where if those guys offer terms to somebody, and this has occurred before, where like Canelo would kill a Plant and Plant refused, Canelo can go fight somebody else and do the same amount of money or more fighting somebody else. Gervonta Davis can't do that. If Haney bends the knee, if Haney says, screw that, I don't want to bend the knee to your stipulations, Gervonta Davis, it's not like he's got 5 people lined up that he can make $500,000 pay-per-views against. He's not that big of a draw either. So I don't know, when people keep bringing up the A-side excuse, it just reeks of Spence Crawford again, where Crawford was doing 150,000 pay-per-view buys against Khan and even worse against Postal, but fucking Spence was struggling to make 300,000 against solid B-sides. He wasn't even that big at an A-side compared to Crawford. So they got to meet down the middle and make something happen is what I'm saying. But they're not going to.
Can I say about the knockouts, though? Inoue's knockouts are far more spectacular.
Of course.
Far more spectacular against quality opposition. It's just that Tank's fans, like you said, his real hardcore fans are racists. They give zero credit to Asians. You ought to see the way they talk about them. That's the real reason. I mean, even Fulton straight out said it. They only credit to him. They only say he's that good because he's a Japanese person.
Well, that comes from basketball.
It is.
That comes from basketball too, because I remember that was a big thing about Larry Bird, right? That people were saying, I forget which fighter it was that said, oh, if Larry Bird wasn't white, he wouldn't be that big a deal. And I was talking about that with Sobers and somebody else on his podcast, and they were saying that something similar is occurring right now. I don't watch basketball, so I don't know, but apparently for last couple of years now, some of the best players have been of the Caucasoid variety, as they like to say, and that's really pissing them off. So,
I don't follow basketball either, but I can tell you this. What happens one week, a black player got 70 points in a game, which I guess in basketball is tremendous, right? And Stephen A., that race hustling piece of fucking crap, went on about how great he was. But then when a white kid did it, he attacked the team he played against for their horrible defense.
Interesting.
It is what it is.
I mean, listen, I've said it before. There's no other group that brings up race as much as they do but for these little stupid things. I mean, some people can say, oh, you guys are bringing up race now. We're bringing up the fact that whenever you talk about a matchup, whether it's basketball, baseball, because I think that was happening with baseball too. I think there's an Asian guy is on the come up as a baseball player, and they were accusing him again. Somebody posted that on Discord. They were bringing up race about it. I'm thinking, geez, Luis, can we put race to the side and just talk boxing? We got a phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. Let's go to 979. 979, you're on the air. 979, what's on your mind?
Hello. What's up, everyone? It's Bruce from Houston calling in.
What's up, Bruce?
And so y'all talking about like Conor, Benn, and Tank Davis, all that smoke and mirrors or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. We were talking about that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just weird, man. Like I don't like Tank's a lightweight, and then Conor Benn was at super welterweight in his last fight. Why is he calling him out? Like, makes no sense.
I mean, you're asking yeah.
It's weird how to be willing to fight this guy at 147, but when Devin Haney's name comes up, he wants to put a weight clause on a weight training, right?
Exactly.
That's what's weird.
Man, well, this is just the way I see it, man. Like, if Tank really wants that rehydration, why doesn't he just go fight Subriel Matias for the IBF junior welterweight? IBF has a 15-pound rehydration clause automatically for their world titles. Why doesn't he just get that belt and he could comfortably sit back and get what he wants and have the world title, you know? And he'll probably actually get the fight, you know, unified. But I don't know. And then it turns out Matias is going to the zone. I just saw earlier today. So that shit's kind of gone. I don't know. Tank's he's kind of stuck, man. Unless he wants to fight Haney or Shakur or somebody he's gonna lose against pretty much, and he's really he's not really making any noise, man, like at all.
I mean, it's the PBC plan. They don't. I mean, I hate to have to talk about them so much in negative light, but we were talking about that too on the Sober's podcast about how you look at Golden Boy Promotions. They got the rug swept from under them. PBC took about 80% of the roster, really gutted it. Look at Golden Boy; they're still around. They had Canelo backing them up. They've developed Virgil Ortiz, Ryan Garcia. I mean, not to the full extent. I mean, Canelo was already sort of a property in Mexico, but nevertheless, they made him a star abroad in the United States. So they know what they're doing. They know how to develop fighters. The PBC, what's their up-and-coming star that's under 25 years old? Is the younger guy, forget Carmel Morton, he's a baby at 20, but I'm talking a guy that you can look at and go, whoa. The only name that comes up is Jaron Ennis. And I think he's already, 27, 28? And he hasn't been fighting since hasn't fought since the summer. So who really knows how to develop stars? It doesn't seem to it seems like the PBC doesn't know how to handle fighters and develop stars.
I think they just overpay the shit out of everyone. And nobody wants to really get up to fight anymore, you know? Freaking $2 million bucks a year and shit, and then they just fight once a year. Like, I don't think they just care, you know? They got their money.
That was true the first 2 years of the PBC. They were paying on average a third higher on average when they were still ripping through that Waddell and Reed money. Now, no longer. For instance, Spence was paid almost $2 million less per fight guaranteed money than what Crawford was getting paid by Top Rank.
Ooh. My goodness gracious.
So, yeah, they don't pay the best. They don't pay any more than anybody else. He just coddles his fighters. He keeps everything in-house, and for one reason, because Al Heyman gets 15% of the purses. So if you only have one PBC fighter in the ring, he's making 15% of that fighter's money. But if it's both PBC fighters, not only does he get 15% of both purses, but he's probably controlling the event, in which means he can also buy all the lower bowl tickets, which he's been doing right along, and scalping them. So the cancer on the sport of boxing, Al Heyman, is what she is just continuing to take and never give anything back. He's not going to leave the sport better off than where he found it. That's for damn sure.
All right. Well, listen, Bruce, man, we have to move on here, but thank you for your call, and call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
All right, bro. Catch y'all later.
Catch you all later, man. Catch you later, rather. I'm repeating what he said, but yeah, thank you, Bruce, for calling in. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 210. 210, you on the air. 210, what's on your mind?
Southpaw lefty.
210, you on the air.
This is Southpaw lefty.
What's up, Southpaw? Yeah, we can hear you, man. What's up?
Oh, not much, man. What's going on, y'all?
We're doing fantastic as well, just hunkering down during the winter. What's on your mind?
Craziness, man. The week of really nothing going on other than Conor Benn looking like shit after he got popped dirty, right? That's usually when it happens. So we get all into the gossip stuff in the TMZ type news. So, and I'm just gonna say it, man. I think the Saudis, they're a good thing that happened to boxing, but what happens is the good things for ungrateful kids like our American fighters and even guys like Tyson Fury. They're gonna fuck it up. Like, they're gonna drive these guys away the way they drive everybody else away. I've seen so many people get involved with boxing, from local promotions to managers to guys who just want to invest in the guys that they kind of fell in love with their story, or they want to help out a boxer. Man, I'm telling you, today the fighters are the problem, man. I'm tired of hearing about the promoters, except for the PBC. They're horrible. But, yeah, I think, like, with the thing with Tank Davis, and it's going to wear thin on these Saudis, man. I'm telling you, like, give me 2 Ferraris. I like how he clapped back and said, I'll give you 2 gloves and that's it. But then now Fury doing what Fury does, and maybe it's real, but maybe it's not, because he's kind of made his own bed to where he does this kind of shit all the time. So that's why he's in question, right? So I think these Saudis are going to end up getting fed up with it, with the Devin Haney's, the guys like Teo and Ryan, and it's frustrating. You think they're going to last?
Remains to be seen, man. I mean, if they got money to spread, it might last for at least a couple of years. But now the interesting thing is if they start putting together some sort of, because they already told. Actually, I'm gonna have to mute you, man, because there's too much noise in the background. If they start incorporating some sort of UFC model where if one guy refuses a fight, well, guess what? We got about 5 other guys lined up that are willing to take this offer from us. I mean, they already told essentially Tank Davis. Tank Davis said, "You got to pay me this amount, and you got to give me 2 cars." And the guy from Saudi Arabia told him, "We'll send you a pair of gloves. That's it." So it's not like they're paying for whatever. They're letting it be known that these guys don't control the demands, and they don't set the demands rather of how much money they should be getting paid.
Yeah, I mean, and I know they got money to blow, but what their thing is, they're trying to compete with Dubai and all those other cities that they're trying, because they know the oil thing is not going to last forever. So they're trying to flip it into something else. And they're going to get tired of losing money, but most of all, they're going to get tired of dealing with these fighters, and then I'm hearing another rumor, changing tune a little bit with Tank, trying to get the Conor Benn fight, and then Haney going after Conor Benn too. It's just, they do the same shit. He looked like crap, so guess what they do? Oh, hey, we want to fight you. And now Tank's it sounds like he's trying to rush a deal where he's not going to have any recuperative time. No time off. He's going to have to go right into a fight the way Canelo did with, Kovalev, where they're just going to try to sign him just so he's pretty much overtrained coming off of another fight. So Tank's doing this shit. He's always got to have somebody at disadvantage. I'm telling you, man, these bratty American fighters, man, they're going to, something good happens to boxing, they always fuck it up. It's like having those fucked up kids, and then you want to introduce them to like your boss. And then you're like thinking in your head like, oh man, please don't fuck this up for me. Sure enough, they show their ass, right? That's American fighters for you, man. You can't trust them.
Yo, Southpaw. Yo, what's up, buddy? Hey, listen, no. I just want to touch on something. I've heard that said a lot about Kovalev coming out of another training camp. Do you realize that wouldn't hurt a fighter? That would make him better. Do you understand? Like back in the day, Marvin Hag would fight 17 times in 1 year.
I know. Yeah, I know.
You should fight more often.
That. But
if anything, that would have helped him.
With his bad habits, and he got beat up, got knocked out. Yeah, I know. But he's not a prime fighter. But there is that tactic of getting a guy fresh off a fight, so he doesn't really. You got to give your body time to recover, especially Ben, because he's not on the steroids no more, so he's better have to go back natural.
2 months, but it was 2 months. That's more than enough time.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. But it's funny. They're picking the low-hanging fruit. And they're not picking the top guys. They're picking the one guy that got popped with steroids, and then he looked ordinary this last week. He didn't really look that good. So they're like, oh, okay, let's go get him.
No, he didn't look good.
But they know it's going to draw numbers.
And I agree with you. Kovalev was, I think, kind of a cheap pick because I think he was washed. But I agree with you there. I think Kovalev was not obviously the Kovalev of days past. But the one thing I don't agree with was they pushed it too soon. If anything, that would have helped Kovalev because he would have stayed fresher. He wouldn't get a chance to let all that vodka ruin himself.
Yeah. Yeah, and I saw something today where the Tank said he only needed a 3-week camp. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm just tired of these American fighters embarrassing us, man, and we'll see what happens with Tyson Fury. He kind of falls in that same boat.
I agree 100%.
But... And I just want to make one more point, man, because I was a big Tyson Fury fan, especially when he was going up against Wilder. It's not the fans that are fickle. You know that you always hear that, oh, the fans are so fickle, they'll turn on you. No, it's actually the fighters, because we back fighters when they do good things, the way we were with Teofimo when he was up and coming and hungry, wanted to fight Loma. But then they turn around and do some diva shit, or when they change their tune and start, they start swerving guys or whatever. And that's what happened with like Teo and Fury. They make good moves, they get us to root for them, and then they do stupid shit, and you can't help but to be like, man, fuck these guys. So it's like, it's not the fans that are fickle. It's the fighters, man. These fighters, they're like the WWE, the WWF, when, they would be a good guy, and then they would turn around and they end up being a bad guy. Hulk Hogan was a good guy. Then he went with the NWO. He was a bad guy. The fighters do the same shit, man, because they change up tune. They're two-faced.
Yeah, you're right, man. And I want to touch on that in regards to the Japanese fighter that recently passed away, and I wanted to address some of that dynamic between fans and boxers. But listen, Southpaw, man, we're going to move on here. But thank you for your call, and call back next time, right, man? Take it easy.
Yeah, guys. Keep it up.
Thank you. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. Let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 347. 347, you're on the air. 347, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, guys? NPR, how you guys feeling?
Oh, NPR guy, what's up, man?
Yeah, man, it's been a little while. Anyway, as far as what the Saudis are doing in boxing, they're taking it away from the American market, period. In other words, they're looking for a worldwide market, and they're looking to put on nothing but highly expensive fights only there. Boxing is now, like American boxing is now just another region in the world. So they're looking to be the kind of they're looking at all of Africa, and they're gonna be grabbing fighters. You know, there's going to be 2 billion people if there aren't already in Africa already, and they're gonna have money, and they're backing their fighters. That was what the Francis Ngannou thing was all about. Is that, you know, for the first time ever, people from Africa all over different cities, you know, it's a huge freaking continent, have disposable income. Well, they're going to bet, and they're going to bet on their people. And so the American market is done. Floyd Mayweather was the last, well, we're seeing the last of America dominating the fighting market right now. We're just seeing the very, very last of it and all those PBC guys. And it's just going to be an international affair with the biggest names, facing each other, because the cost of putting on giant productions is so high and is so expensive, and it's so corrupt that only the biggest events are the ones that are going to make money. And if you're uber wealthy, you can say, well, I can waste my time with American boxing. Or if you're uber wealthy, you're looking at, the best of the best of the best premier, just like the way soccer is getting. Like, these guys are getting ridiculous contracts now. It's the same thing. And that Saudis or the future, or the Middle East rather, but the Saudis specifically are the future of boxing. So that's basically what I see. And that Vegas is no longer Vegas in terms of maybe betting, and it runs through Vegas. But as far as like hosting events, Vegas is small potatoes compared to giant stadiums and the kind of luxury that the Saudis are putting up with. I mean, you see them flying in guys like, guys that we think are, they're flying in everybody. They're flying in everybody to back up their play, to be the dominant force in a lot of sports, not just boxing, but soccer and a lot of other giant, stadium events. So that's what I see in boxing happening right now. What do you guys think about what I just said?
That's absolutely true, NPR guy. Like the American system, because everyone always says, America's the mecca of boxing. That hasn't been true for a long time, and like you said, even if it is, it's been going downhill. The money that Vegas presents now is, like you said, peanuts compared to the Middle East, and on top of that, boxing is very rigid, set in its ways. They refuse to change too many things. I mean, just look at the pageantry that you see in ways now is something that they're trying to copy off of the UFC. A little late to the party. It's only now that they're trying to be a little bit more malleable. And there are a bunch of bean counters too. They don't want to spend too much money on promotion because, hey, so far the little that we do works, so let's not give the fans too much. Whereas over there in Saudi Arabia, they're willing to lose money. Just throw money at the wall and see what sticks. So absolutely, these Saudis are adding a new dynamic to it. Like other people have mentioned, we'll see what happens if they pull their money, because then it's going to be trouble. But for the moment, it seems to be a profitable union, a fertile one. And I want to remind people that Bob Arum was on the last episode of the 3 knockdown rule, and he said that they're looking at about 6 dates this year from the Saudis.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And see, we little people in the world don't really see the money, right? So you say, well, they lost money on the pay-per-view. Well, nobody gives a shit about that. I mean, when you have literally $1 billion in gambling, $2 billion, $3 billion in gambling on a fight, weighing in, it has nothing to do with who comes through the fucking gate. They don't care if you watch the damn pay-per-view numbers. Nobody cares about that shit. They'll take a loss on there, but on the back end, the powers that be, the gambling people, will basically put those events on because there's so much money involved behind the scenes that the loss on a pay-per-view means nothing to them.
Absolutely.
It has nothing to do with the pay-per-view numbers, man. These guys, it doesn't matter who watches the damn fight. It's what you're looking at is you're looking at more, you have to look at it more of the way Sotheby's looks at selling antiques. You have to look at it that way, is that, okay, they'll put on a show in the front of the show. They don't care how much the show costs them. What's going on behind the scenes in terms of the money that's coming in dwarfs anything that you and I think, well, selling sodas. And, you're also talking about international affairs where government officials are all getting paid off. Believe me, everybody's getting paid, not you. You don't count,
Exactly, yeah. I really doubt that the Saudis are concerned about the concession stand the way people at the Staples Center or New York Madison Square Garden, where they actually have to, we got to make money at the concession stand. You're absolutely right. All right, well, listen, NPR guy, great call. We got to move on here, but thank you for your call and the call back next time, Raman. Take it easy out there.
Later.
I think he mentioned antiquing too. That sounds like something Ryan Garcia is probably up to right now as we speak, and eating crackers and tweaking. I'm not saying he's done something. I'm just saying he looked like he was, allegedly. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. Hit the like. 336, you're on the air. 336, what's on your mind?
Yo, BDA, before I get into this boxing shit, man, Bucho, he just keeps talking about the end of the world and shit. We got a child at home. We always argue and shit. And, bro, I think we need marriage counseling, bro, because our relationship is falling apart, But, yeah.
Why do you always have to put that? Why do you always have to frame Why do you always have to frame things in some sort of homosexual double talk? Oh, gooning, trannies, marriage. I mean, come on, man.
It'll make that nigga mad when he hears this shit.
You Zoomers, man.
Bucho
you guys make me
he's
sick.
so far up his ass in this shit. Like, it's a rabbit hole for this fucking guy. Seriously. He believes all countries in the world.
Oh, no, don't get into that now. It's a boxing show. Don't get into the social. It's Dora. One thing we're not gonna do is you start talking nonstop. It's your call. I'll give you time, but please just don't interrupt me. And please stay away from the socio-political aspects of the downfall of the United States and just stick to your boxing call. Please, do me that favor.
Okay, yeah. So Liam Paro is probably going to fight Matias, I guess, which is a good fight. And people are asking, why is Tank Davis going to fight Conor Benn? It's to prep himself for Manny Pacquiao, because Manny Pacquiao is coming back this year. And that's why he's going to 147, so he can get himself adjusted to the weight to fight Manny. And I don't really mind. I don't care if Haney's not in a big fight. He's boring, so who fucking cares? I don't give a fuck if he has some fucking trinket. He needs to be fighting guys like Sandor Martin if he's not going to unify. So that's kind of what I want to see there at 140. I'd like to see some matchups like that. Shit.
Yeah,
with T.O. and Jermaine Ortiz. Dude, Jermaine Ortiz is going to be big as fuck. That dude looks fucking jacked, man. That snack shit is insane. He's probably, I bet he walks around every bit 170 in camp. So he's cutting weight right now. But he'll be bigger than what he was against Loma. He'll probably be about 10, well, maybe not 10, but probably 5-6 pounds bigger. Dude, he looked bigger in his last fight, and that wasn't even at 140. That was like 137 and a half or some bullshit, some catch weight. So he's like a full-blown welterweight, man, or almost junior middleweight. That dude is fucking huge. So I don't know how much bigger Tio's going to rehydrate, but I think Tio's actually going to be the smaller man a little bit. And we'll see. I think this fight's a lot closer than what odds have it as. I mean, I have Tio by like an 8-4 UD, but, you know, the odds makers have Tio's like a fucking 7-1 favorite, which is like basically a mismatch. So I don't see that at all. And if he's not on his game, you know, he'll lose. So I still got Tio winning, though, but we'll see. I mean, Jermaine Ortiz has a lot more offensive variety and firepower, I think. Not firepower, but variety than Josh Taylor does, especially the Josh Taylor that Teofimo Lopez got, the one coming off a 16-month layoff, hand surgery, all that shit. So he was shot.
But you know what's interesting about that Taylor fight?
Yeah.
I thought rewatching it, yeah, clearly Teofimo Lopez won, but people make it out to be like he schooled
It was
Taylor.
closer than people thought. Yeah, Josh Taylor won 4 rounds, dude. You're right. That's what you're going to get at. The first half of the fight was very competitive, and then Tio ran away with the second half of the fight, aside of round 10, which he just didn't fight back for some reason. But yeah, when people say Tio won 10 rounds of that fight, or 11 rounds, I'm like, what the fuck are you watching, dude? Tio was getting busted up early in the beginning of that fight. So they're beating the fuck out of each other. And then Tio started stepping on the gas, punching the VTEC, and that was it. Bye-bye birdie. Fight was over.
Yeah, the championship rounds, he did dominate.
Go ahead.
He did dominate the championship rounds, Teofimo Lopez. He dominated the championship rounds, and he had Taylor in trouble in the last one. But up until the 6th, it was a very competitive fight. So people like to talk about, excuses this, excuses that. Just look at the fight itself, and you tell me if Teofimo Lopez really dominated. He wasn't a Bernard Hopkins, Felix Trinidad type performance. So, I mean, again, this Ortiz fight, you're right. I don't know what the odds makers are looking at. Usually they're on point, but this reminds me of when Navarrete fought Valdez, and they had Valdez a 2-1 favorite. I'm thinking, whoa, are these guys really on point here? Maybe not.
But Tio did dominate. He just dominated the second half of the fight. That's where he dominated. It wasn't the entirety of the fight in general.
Exactly.
So that's all I got to say. Now I'm going to go.
All right. Thank you for your call there, Dora.
This pipe dream. U.S. dollar on top, hell globalism, hell Zionism.
All right. Thank you for your call there, Dora. Call back next time. All right, fellas. We're at the over 2 hours here. I don't want to go over 2.5, but I do have something to say about the Japanese dude that perished a couple of days ago. But before I do that, I do have to go take a latrine break. So you guys take over, and then I'll address that, and I'll be right back. All right, fellas? You guys still there, by the way? I don't want to leave and then silence. Okay. So you guys talk about talk a little bit about what. Yeah, go ahead. I'll be right back.
Don't tinkle. But no, I want to say about Japanese fighter. Let's talk about, because the caller back mentioned American fighters, which I totally agree. Let's look at like what Inoue's doing. The kid just fights the Palace, right? To unify. He says before he even leaves the ring that he's fighting Neary next, most likely. All this kid has done, fight after fight, year after year, is fight the next best available opponent. No bullshit. No. Every fight gets made. He pays them the money. He has to pay them to get them there. Think about it. Fulton made 3 times his highest payday to fly to Japan. That's why when the emotionally stunted, intellectually crippled morons who sit there and say, Fulton shouldn't have had to go to Japan. He should have brought him here. Fulton said, I don't get the respect or love I should get in my own city. Never mind the United States. He had to go there to get paid. Like, people are under this assumption that this is 1977 United States and boxing is still like, this is, the Mecca. Those days are dying. Where the sport is still great and huge in Mexico, South America, or any other nation that's on the up, like everything else in this country, it's dying. We don't even have an Olympic amateur program anymore. And the amateur program in the United States is literally dying. This is no joke. People need to fucking wake up. The United States is going to become almost irrelevant in the sport if shit doesn't change. I'm done.
Yep, I agree with you. I agree. That's why he took the fight. Look, man, Fulton took the fight because it's bigger overseas. You got Inoue who's the star of that, of that weight class, whether he was going up and shit, he's the bigger name. The fight's bigger over there. And so, he took it and he lost. He got beat, right? The fight was, the fight was talked about before the results came in as a competitive fight, that it was going to be Anui's biggest test, yada, 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 right? All that stuff. And it turned out to be a one-sided showcase, showing how good Anui is. Look, man, boxing is it's a global sport. And I think the American scene is behind the eight ball. I've been saying this for a long time. One of the callers called in and he said that it's really the American fighters and they're going to fuck it up, with the Saudi thing. And there's a chance of that. You saw it with Tank. Tank, you're not talking to people. You're not talking to your peers. You're talking to billionaires, trillionaires. You're a welfare case to them. You're not even a welfare case. You're not even on the radar when it comes to what they have. So when you talk like that, you think it's cute in your neighborhood. To them, they're like, who the hell are you? You're nobody. In our world, you're an ant. We just need you to come here and we'll give you a little bit of money, a little bit of our money, which is just a drop in the bucket. It's a lot of money for you, but it's a drop in the bucket for us. And so when you got people like him who are showing their true ignorance, yeah, people like that could fuck it up for everybody.
That's true.
Somebody needs to get up in his face and be like, listen, bro, you're a stupid man. We don't pay you to talk. We pay you to fight. Shut the fuck up. Let us handle everything. Okay? Don't be asking these people for 2 Lamborghinis. When they pay you, you get your own fucking Lamborghini. that's that.
Yeah, that's easy as pie. I don't know why he's complicating things. I mean, that seems to be the story of Tank Davis's life. Just overcomplicate everything. Make a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah.
And, in boxing, on this show, we're pretty unfiltered for the most part. And so, I mean, sometimes not because we want to, but because we forget. We're just talking. Sometimes it's off the cuff, and sometimes we make mistakes. But what I wanted to say was that we try to be respectful of everybody. And so when this Japanese boxer, who he fought on the undercard, if you might recall, Kazushi Yanaguchi, he fought on the undercard of Inu at the Palace. It was a war. And after the fight, they drove him to the hospital, and he ended up getting in a coma. He passed away a couple of days ago. Now, this started a...
that's the guy who died?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the guy who died. Wow. Shit.
So now,
every time... BDA, he died a warrior. He died, I guarantee you, like it's fucked up. I feel bad that happened to him. I don't really know him. But I guarantee you he died doing what he loves. That's fighting is what he loved.
Well, that's what I wanted to touch on here, because every time we've been around boxing for a while, everybody on this panel, we've seen it before. The unfortunate reality of boxing is that every year there's always a boxer that's going to pass away, at least. Sometimes it's in a little card in the middle of nowhere, or sometimes it's in a televised fight, such as this one. And every time a fighter passes away, it creates a discussion on social media about how we have to respect all fighters. And that this puts into perspective how we shouldn't criticize fighters, blah, 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 blah. First of all, I disagree. We should be able to criticize fighters, because just because these guys get in between, that's always been the argument from some people. It's, well, boxers get in between, they walk through the ropes. It takes courage to step into the ring. Therefore, you guys are forbidden from criticizing them. And I disagree, because these guys are getting paid. The fact that these guys are getting paid to do this prize fighting and that it's being televised, it creates a different dynamic. It's no longer just a guy, it's not like a soldier fighting for his country, which even then you can still question their morals. I mean, people went to Vietnam and they killed a bunch of Vietnamese civilians over there. So just because you do something brave doesn't absolve you from some of the bad things that you do afterwards or during the act of bravery. Number two, Rick and I said, some of these guys, nobody's forcing them to fight. If you were to ask, again, I don't know Anaguchi, I don't know what type of guy he was, but from my experience hanging out with boxers and reading their interviews, especially high-level boxers, the best of the best, reading their interviews, you get the sense that there's nothing they'd rather be doing than this. I mean, for them, it's a dream. You get to fight and you get paid for it. handsomely most of the time if you're a tough fighter. And if you ask them, really, like Recognize said, if you really got down to the nitty gritty, I think most guys, if you ask them, how do you want to die? How most boxers would die? I don't think a lot of them would mind perishing in the ring, dying under shields. Because, not for nothing, but these guys are wired differently. The professional fighters, mind you. And I'm not talking for Recognize and Jimmy, because I know those guys lived a fast life. Probably still are living a fast life. They're just not telling me. But I'm speaking for myself here. I'm more of a recluse. I like going out, but I'd rather stay at home, is what I'm saying. So that's why for me, when I look at a professional fighter, I go, my goodness, these guys are completely a different character from my end, because they like the adrenaline. Here's the thing most guys like about professional fighting. They like the fact that they get paid. They like the adulation from the people, the attention that they get, but they also like the competitive aspect. The fact that they're getting in there with another highly trained professional and that they can beat that dude. That is euphoria for them. So again, they're living on the edge. They're living on adrenaline. They get a high from this. So when a guy like Anaguchi passes away, I'm just trying to set the context of what type of characters these guys have. But you also have to take into perspective that this is a business. It's show business. It's entertainment. This is being televised. So when a guy goes in there and he gives it, 6 rounds or whatever, and then he quits, well, then you have to ask, why did the situation merit this fighter quitting? If it's a guy having a shattered nose, like Israel Vasquez against Rafael Marquez, the first fight, okay, we can accept that because, goddamn, that's a heinous injury. And then what happens? Israel Vasquez comes back in the rematch and stops Rafael Marquez. So he shows you the fact that he had to quit does not define him as a quitter. Now, I criticized Demetrius Andrade, for example, for his desultory performance against David Benavidez. And I still maintain that he should have been criticized for it. But now, does that make him a quitter all around? No. It's just in that instance, he decided to quit. He's still a hard worker. To be able to be a professional boxer and to get to where he was, he had to put some work in there. So I'm not saying he's a quitter. Otherwise, if he were a quitter, he would have quit on his first workout in the gym. But there's levels to this, is what I'm saying. And because there's levels, you can point out and criticize the guy for failing to achieve a certain level. So what I'm trying to get at is, I understand that every time a fighter passes away, emotions are high and people want to try to shield these fighters. But come on. We as consumers, we're not watching this for free. These guys aren't doing it for free. We all have to pay a certain price. And that's the other thing. If a fighter passing away bothers you, stop watching this sport. Because until they develop some sort of new medical procedures, and let's not forget too that these sanctioning bodies and these state athletic commissions, sometimes they skirt certain protocols. Spence versus Crawford, anybody? According to Dr. 805, if he's to be believed, if he saw the symptoms from afar from Errol Spence, you have to assume that the guys who were examining Errol Spence saw it as well. And if it's true that he had those symptoms and they let it slide, just goes to show you what type of crummy, dirty business this is, where they don't really care too much about people's lives. So it goes both ways, guys. Accept the fact that this is a dangerous sport. There's always going to be fighters perishing every year because of this. And if you can't handle that, maybe stop watching the sport because this does not absolve certain fighters from criticism. Anyway, that's my little spiel.
And I agree with you. The minute they get paid, I'll feel sorry for the first one, or I'll buy that you can't criticize. Every fighter who has a gun put to their head and said, listen, quit your job, you need to start fucking running every morning because we're going to put you in the ring and fight. I say, fuck it, I will not criticize them. But anybody else who chooses to go in there and chooses to get paid, you get the good with the bad, brother. They want the accolades, but they don't want the criticism. Go fuck yourself, because you know who pays your bill? We do. You only have a job because of us. You work for us, because without the fans, you don't exist. So shut the fuck up and fight.
Yep. And all the fans that are caping for them, saying, "Oh, fight is safety, fight is safety." These are the same people that watch basically snuff films online and praise that shit. Oh yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. When you see listen. When you see a young man, right, in the ghettos of America, or just some some main area getting shot to death, and you see a bunch of views from people that criticize other fans that don't care about fighting safety the way they claim to do. But you see them viewing that, right? And even commenting like, wow, he killed that motherfucker. Shut the fuck up, bro. Shut up, man. Because you are just like, you're the reason why boxing is stagnant right now as a boxing fan. Because you pretend to care about fighter safety. Like, look, I'm not saying I want these dudes to go in there and die. But there are results to fighting for your actions. Anybody who's ever been in a fight knows there's a fear that something bad could happen. Your face could open up really bad. You could pour out blood. You could get knocked out on your way down and go into a coma, never get back up. That's just the reality of fighting. All right, when you compete body to body, right? Whether you're playing football, whether you're boxing, whatever the case may be, whether it's MMA, something bad could happen. And so we know that, or you're in a street fight, right? Because a lot of these boxing fans claim to be street dudes, that they know how to fight and this and this and that. And if I see you, it's going to be on, blah, 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 right? But so you know that if I take you at your word, that if me and you get into a fight, that there's a possibility one of us could die.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like one of us, it's a good possibility that one of us could die. So why you care about fighter safety? I think the people that talk about fighter safety, they're clowns. The best fighter safety you could, the fighter safety that you can advise anybody, the most safest one is the one you should offer them, and that would be not to fight.
I mean, or enforce the rules. Enforce the rules, because again, a lot of people who
enforce the rules of boxing. There you go.
Yeah, because a lot of the people who complain, a lot of the people who complain about or who defend clinching are also the same people that love to give fighters every single benefit of the doubt when it comes to their actions. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, you're allowing clinching, that's breaking the rules. So right there off the bat, you're telling us, the rules are malleable. You often hear that argument too from people when they go, well, it's up to the referee. No, it's not, man. The referee is supposed to be the first line of defense to enforce the rules. If the referee is incompetent or corrupt, that places the fighter in danger. In other words, you have to enforce every single rule the same, because to do the opposite creates a lax attitude in boxing. And there shouldn't be anything lax about boxing, because it's a dangerous sport. People can die in there, as we've seen time and time again. So that's why one of the reasons why I support and lobby for the enforcement of all rules across the board, because that way it creates a milieu of respect towards the rules and to protect the fighters. Because here are the facts: even if you enforce the rules, some fighters are still going to die, but at least you give the fighters every benefit or every assurance to protect them. Now, by the way, recognize, I don't know what it is with you and snuff films. Yeah, you've referenced snuff films twice now on this show. People don't know this.
Well, okay.
Hold on. People don't know this, but we can actually activate Recognize's webcam, and here's what he's doing right now. Look at that. There's Recognize while he's on the show. He's got a guest.
Oh,
he's got a table there.
Oh no.
Well, look, I've come to a conclusion. Watching the internet over the as long as it's been out, and especially today. So you go to Twitter, right, or X, whatever it's called, and you see all these violent videos, right? And I'm like, that's snuff film, basically. That's what it is. They're recording it, they're putting it up. It's free though. It's just free, right? Some of these gruesome murders are accidental. They're like car accidents or whatever, but a lot of them are intentional. Like, somebody going out there killing someone. And to me, okay, maybe they didn't agree to film that, and have somebody get killed. But in today's society where cameras are everywhere and somebody's going to put it up, right? Like, to me, that's just a snuff film. That's all it is.
You know what, man? I was scrolling through Twitter. No, I got you. I was scrolling through Twitter the other day, and all of a sudden this video comes up on the timeline of a Chinese guy getting sucked into a machine. I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. It used to be back in the day you had to go to lively.orgish.com, which I always avoided, by the way. all of a sudden this shit's pumping up on Twitter. I'm thinking, I don't want to see that. I want to see videos of, people going, it's a prank, bro, or something. Not a guy getting his arm sucked into a machine. But look, I don't even know if I argued the point. What was that?
I was going to say, like, Faces of Death. Remember those videos back in the late 90s?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The guy getting eaten by the crocodile. Yeah. Some of them were fake, obviously, but the point remains. What Reckon is saying is true. Some of this shit borders on the snuff film variety, and it's people get desensitized towards that type of violence. And I'm not saying that that's what should happen to boxing fans, although it does happen to a certain degree because there's people that have tried to show boxing. They go, "Oh, that shit's brutal," and I'm thinking, "Well, brutal." But then again, sometimes we forget we've been watching this sport for a long time. Some of us have even competed in it. And so we're used to, it's not really, I mean, come on, if you compare it to an actual street fight, boxing is not a fight per se. There's rules. It's combat with regulations.
If you've been in a situation where, like you said, you've been in a street fight, bad shit happens. If you've seen enough street fights, bad things have happened. Okay? And so you don't turn away from that. You watch it, right? How many people that you think on YouTube fighting safety have seen a street fight where a dude maybe got killed in a street fight and didn't turn away, and they're like, "Damn boy, he whipped that man's ass, he killed him." Well, what's the difference, bro?
That's
know what I'm
true,
saying? You
man.
didn't care about that dude that you didn't care about him. So why you talking about fighter safety? You don't give a fuck about fighter safety. You're just talking. You're just trying to. Yeah,
that's what I wanted to say because I don't know if I made my point properly, my argument. But what I'm trying to say is, look, because people say when let's say for example we criticize a fighter for clinching, not such thing as excessive clinching, by the way, clinching is clinching, and they go, and then when a fighter passes away, they go, oh, this is why we shouldn't criticize these fighters. But wait a minute, are you telling me that if the fighter A wouldn't have clinched, he would have died? That's the argument some of these guys make, if you really deconstruct it, which is completely illogical because how many fighters go out there and don't break the rules and they come out fine? You know what I mean? So in other words, what I'm saying is some fighters deserve criticism if they do something that merits such criticism, such as showing up to fight for a round and then quit, or getting grazed by a punch and saying, you know what, I think this guy's eventually going to catch me. I'm just going to pretend that he hit me now. I mean, come on, are you telling me that because fighters die, we can't criticize those aspects? That's ridiculous. That's ludicrous. I'm not going to have it. It's a tough sport. There's always going to be a fine line that people are going to argue over. And that's why at least we should have open forums such as this one to discuss that. If somebody wants to disagree about us overly criticizing a guy, of course, hey, sometimes it might happen. Maybe we jump the gun sometimes. But at least have an open forum to discuss it and accept that this is a dangerous sport. And for the moment, it ain't going to get any safer unless you enforce the rules. That was one of my suggestions. I think Reckon I said the same thing. Hey, by the way, we got another phone call here. Let's go to it. 301, you're on the air. 301, what's on your mind?
BDA, what's up? And the rest of the panel, how's it going? You know me, I have to call in at the end here. It's union dues. You guys haven't put in your union hours yet. I know you're trying to slink away, but here I am, keeping you on the air. But I just wanted to touch on...
How much I owe?
I mean, I agree with everything Recognized said. Really resonated with me because, just to give like a brief answer, I remember watching that Charles Conwell and Patrick Day fight, like on the Zone. It was just like, it was one on the undercard. It was pretty early in. And just like the raw sensation, like I didn't even know what was happening, but that was one of the most exhilarating fights I've ever seen. And it like sent like a thrill through me. I'm almost kind of ashamed to say this, because I literally like exclaimed like I was alone. I jumped up like when he got knocked out and like screamed and shit. But I don't know. I think I recognized something primal. But I wouldn't say that desensitized me to, gore. If anything, that made me feel like more deeply the consequences of what you're seeing. And yeah, I mean, it really is just the nature of the game. Like, there's no safe way to do this. So I recognize completely right. The only thing you can say about fighter safety is just don't fight. I mean, you accept a certain risk. You accept that you will be altered permanently. I mean, there's there's no way any of these guys come out better than what they started, you know, but they would rather, like, not be doing anything else with their life. Like, think about someone like Tony Margarito, right? Like, what was that fucker going to do with his life, you know?
Exactly.
Other than to beat the shit out of people. You know, some men are just like that. They're just that way. Yeah. And it's just the sign of our totally, you know, pussified culture that people don't get this. That they think, well, you know, I'm safe with my home. I get to go to the wine bar with my girlfriend on the weekends, and that's good enough for me. I get to watch the football game. Damn. Some people are just not built that way, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But, like, even, you know, when you think about, like, the total desperation of this world, where some of these fighters come from, like these Thai fighters, these Filipino guys, like Manny Pacquiao, when he was fighting at the beginning, was totally emaciated. You know, yeah, they fight out of desperation just to make ends meet, but, you know, the ones who rise, they find, I don't know, some kind of grace, you know, in that, in this, like, ability to, you know, master some aspect of the world, like, get a foothold into reality that otherwise they would never get a chance to. In, like, a totally natural and, you know, respectable way to get to earn their way into something that is well beyond their horizon of expectations. I mean, I don't know if you've ever read this guy Ernst Junger. He was a soldier in World War One, but he, you know, a lot of World War One novels are about, you know, like emasculation and the horrors of war and that kind of stuff. At least that's what's taught. But he was one of the first people I found when I was like a teenager who talked about the sheer exhilaration and honor and joy of battle that he would find, you know. And I would say that this is probably more the case than not. I mean, this is just what's at the core of us. We're just a violent species, and that's how we've made our way to the bulk of human history.
Well, you know what,
I think that's the core of the appeal of something as sport.
That's a good point, because
go ahead.
That's why one of my favorite war movies, and obviously it's the favorite of a lot of people, is Full Metal Jacket, because Stanley Kubrick, the director, didn't go for the usual cliche of, oh, war is bad or war is good, because he said that's ultimately what happens when you put out a movie on the big screen. It ultimately either glorifies it, or the filmmaker tries to demonize war. You know, it's tragic. He said, I want to explore the aspect that war ultimately creates or brings something out of men. Where, I mean, if you ask most soldiers, and I know Gonzalo and Gypsy Boxing talked about this during one of the Open Lines Fridays, that's when they felt most alive, because they had a mission, they had something to do, and war brings something out of you, and it's the same thing with boxing. It's a little mini war in there. It brings out a mission. I gotta beat this guy. It's kill or be killed to a certain degree, and once you finally beat, you're able to beat another man in competition. It's like, whoa, that's exhilarating. Yeah,
these type of extremely like pitched, intense events, war, like fights, like people often describe them as something surreal, like a dream, like it was something that was, heightened beyond like what you could experience even with a drug. It's a kind of reality-altering experience, or maybe it's like another thing, a hidden reality, if you believe in that kind of thing.
We talk about the noosphere
and it's a pathway to something greater. The what?
So you talk about the noosphere or something here.
Sorry, what? The noose?
Noosphere.
Oh, like being hung or something?
No. Anyway, it's another World War I guy came up with the concept of the noosphere. But anyway, the point is this. Boxing is dangerous.
I can't think of what you're talking about.
Boxing is dangerous. People have to accept it. It is a brutal sport. It's not for everybody. It's certainly not for everybody to compete in or to participate in. But that's just the way it is. If it's not for everybody, so if you can handle it, stay away from it. That's the point we're trying to make here. But by the way, Irish Andrew Ward, the great thing about boxing, though, is that, like you said,
I just want to say.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say one last thing, though, that the fact that people don't get it sort of connects to like a major theme that you guys always talk about, that most of these so-called boxing fans are not just fans, they're just ethno-narcissists, and they want to live vicariously through some fighter, and that's why they actually enjoy the fact that he has like an easy way to winning and he's fighting bums with no contest, because they actually don't appreciate the idea of, you know, like fighting someone, the kind of mix of anxiety and excitement that you get of fighting someone who you know is a danger to you, a kind of, you know, honorary and kind of gentleman-like aspiration that's not in them. They don't actually like the sport at all. They just like everything is like a cheap kind of social media-like enjoyment. That's what most of these people are. I mean, they don't buy the fights. They probably don't even watch the fights all the way through. Like a lot of them just are watching on their phones. Or I saw a lot of there was like in the Errol Spence Crawford segments. By the way, that was a great video of the roundup of the year you did. And one guy tweeted out was like, I felt like a family member died when Spence got knocked out. I lost it again. It's hard to kind of like fathom that level of I don't know, whatever that guy thinks about on a daily basis. It's really hard for me to. It's totally okay.
Yeah, you know, I used to feel that way.
Like
I used to feel that way after a big fight when I was rooting for a fighter. When I was a kid. Now, when you're a kid and you have nothing going on in your life other than fucking watching TV and going to school, I understand that. But now if you're a grown man and you're still feeling that way, you really have to put things into perspective, recalibrate your expectations. All right, listen, Irishman, thank you. We got to move on here. We're running out of time. Great points, and call back next time, right, man? All
right, man. I'll have to see about it. You know, this was a long call. We'll see down the line. I can maybe make another appearance. But right now we have to go back to the drawing board right now. It's too early to tell. All right,
man. Take it easy, man. Thank you for. Yeah, that's Irish Andrew Wars. He always talks like a fighter during an interview. That's his shtick. You know, he has that rhythm. You know, there's a lot of things down the line. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go back to the drawing board, see what happens. just a bunch of cliches that these boxers always say. But by the way, he made a great point about boxing. That's why a lot of people enjoy it, because of the competitive aspect. That's why I never got into boxing as a high level amateur, because it was too easy, and I didn't get a competitive edge from it. So I just had to move away and find bigger challenges. But that's just me. You know, can't have the same expectations for everybody out there that I have for myself. Here's another thing, man. Don't forget to hit that like.
You're a hell of a guy.
Like.
You're a hell of a guy.
I'm not bragging. I'm just pointing out the reality, man. That's, you know, got to educate people out there. We get another phone call here. I said we weren't going to go past 2 hours and 2.5 hours, and here we are at 2:42. But hey, it is what it is, man. Let's go to another phone call here.
You lied again.
No, that's not true. I miscalculated. I didn't lie. 646, you're on the air. 646. 646, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, BDA? Great show.
What's up?
How you doing?
Thank you. Who is this? Sounds familiar.
Hey, so listen. This is the Filthy Casual. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's all right. Filthy Casual, what's up, man?
Can't hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, what's up, man? All right, thank you. So here it is, man. A lot of people call, every time a boxer perishes tragically in the ring, you know, it's a sad thing, but people seem to go overboard with the emotions and the things, but nobody offers, I believe, solutions, right? Mm-hmm. And I've asked a couple of people in boxing, and maybe Jimmy, if he's still around, could give me an answer as to why it is that nobody has proposed having oxygen tanks in the corners. It seems to me that one of the main reasons that people, that boxers perish is simply from oxygen deprivation, because, you know, you're exhausted, your brain can't get enough oxygen, it shares oxygen with your muscles, so they're struggling. If you can get a drink of water in the corner, why can't you get a couple of puffs of oxygen? I think it would go a long way in bringing down the incidence of death. I believe. I don't know if anybody would agree with me, but I couldn't get a straight answer. Somebody said to me, "Go ahead."
Okay.
Hello.
It's a proven fact. A lot of physicians have said that the body responds extremely well when there's a level of danger, in your life. Like there's a lot of uncertainty, right? Like you're not sure that you might make it through the next day or through that day, right? Your body kind of responds. It has all the mechanisms in the world to to, let's say, for instance, because you're worried, you're not eating, right? You're just not eating. Let's say you're eating one meal a day. Your body will fight off all the, it'll build nutrients in your body that you need to get you through the day, right?
It's called
and
autophagy.
A lot of people actually look.
Yeah, autophagy.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people actually, and people don't realize it because they're going through it. A lot of men and women are at their best at that point of their life. They look their best. They are physically fit. Usually, they're very prime in terms of the way their health and the way they look. They don't realize this, but okay, going back to the oxygen thing, the problem with too much anxieties about your life being in danger, like you're in a fight, right? So you're in a fight. There's nothing really that can defend that. You'll see a guy, his adrenaline is pumping, boom, 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 boom. He looks amazing. But if he keeps with that adrenaline, he's going to explode. There'll be no oxygen for him to it all depends on the individual is what I'm trying to say. But if the body exceeds too much adrenaline, you just automatically you lose air and you start to convulse and die. That is part of fighting. These guys are well-trained athletes. Usually, they 99% of the time they get through their exercise, their fights, their amateur fights with that level of stress, and they come out winners, right? They come out alive, is what I mean, healthy. But the problem with that, there's always that 1% that doesn't happen. You understand? There's always that 1% that your body exceeds the level of anxiety and fear and adrenaline that you can die, bro. That's just just the nature of life that can happen to you. I don't know if I explained that well.
I understand what you're saying.
That, but
what I'm saying is
that's the best explanation I can give.
So I understand what you're saying. Okay, I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is, if there is a chance to lower the rate of fighters dying from a simple act of letting them take a couple of puffs of pure oxygen, I don't see what the problem would be. Especially if it's not just in one corner, both fighters are doing. I'll tell you this.
They do it in football.
I just want to say this.
They do it in football.
Say that again? They do it in
the NFL.
Exactly. So why wouldn't they do it in boxing?
They do it in the NFL. Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. So why wouldn't they do it in boxing? That's exactly my point. So when I think of all this outrage and all this, I see the hypocrisy. I see that you don't really want to do anything about it, or else you would do something about it. That's all I'm saying. And the other thing is
the rules too, Paula.
The other thing is
the rules of boxing.
So I'll tell you this. The other thing is this. It's situations like that which is the reason why I never compare any fighter from the 12 round era to fighters of the 15 rounds. The championship rounds do not exist anymore. I would never call the 10, 11, 12 rounds championship rounds when I know, because it would be a slap in the face to the fighters that fought 13, 14, and 15, because that really differentiated the men from the boys. The other thing I want to say is this. Navarrete. I hate what's happening with Navarrete. I know the host BBA is a big fan of Navarrete. I am too. And I think that Top Rank is setting him up to be a gatekeeper because he has a good name. But they also have, he could be unifying at 130 and then move up to 135. They have O'Shaquie Foster. They have some fighters. Lamont Roach is out there with no promoter. If they wanted to really build a Navarrete up, they would be able to do that. But it doesn't seem like they're in the Navarrete business. So they're moving him up to fight Baranchik at 135. Baranchik is a shot fighter. He probably will beat Baranchik, but Navarrete's too small for 35. That's why he couldn't get rid of Conceição, because he didn't really carry his power up to 130. He hasn't gotten acclimated at 130. Now you're talking about going to 135. He'll beat Baranchik, get a WBO belt, and now you're going to have him unified against either Lomachenko or Shakur Stevenson, and you're setting him up for a loss. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I agree with Navarrete. He just recently moved up to 130. Now you want him to move up to 135. And I think that move to 130 was partially because of lack of discipline from Navarrete. I still think if he really wanted to, he might be able to get to down to 126. And if not, at least stay at 130. Yeah, and if not,
but
at least stay at...
I really think that 130 is a sweet spot.
Could
you
be.
saw what
Could
Liam
be.
Wilson what did to him. Liam Wilson, you saw what Liam Wilson, which I think Liam Wilson is going to beat the shit out of Oscar Valdez, by the way. But Navarrete is a truly great talent, and the people at people like Tim Brownlee can't see that this man is really gifted. He is elite, and if you build him up, at least have a uniform against Shaki Foster, Lamont Roach, get him a fight. Look, this guy Kakachi or whatever the hell his name is fighting Cordina in Riyadh. Why can't you have them unified, get two belts together, and then at the end of the year fight him in Riyadh and get him some big money?
That's.
Can
I add something?
Fan,
what's up, Filthy? What's up, Filthy? This is Jimmy. Hey, what's up, buddy? Hey, I just want to let everybody know.
Hey, what's up, Jimmy?
Right, Filthy? What's going on, brother? I want everybody to know that Filthy is. He knows he's as good and as big a Top Rank fan as anybody. Like, he really knows what's going on at Top Rank. So I'm actually really surprised. So if Filthy's calling out Top Rank for this, he's being serious. That's all I'm saying. So I agree. I don't know what's going on with there. The only thing I can add, Filthy, is I know there was a time back 2 fights ago. There was rumors that Navarrete was walking. They were bumping heads. Bob was bumping heads with him about his outside the ring life. I'm sure BDA, I think he's talked about it, he's heard about it. He's a partier, like a lot of fucking boxers are. They live on the wild side. They fight for a living.
Right.
So so they do. Some guys kick up the heels a little. So I don't know if that's the case, because I agree. And listen, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. It's not just Navarrete. I think in boxing in general, I think the Mexican fighters get taken for granted. That's just my personal opinion. I think the American-born fighters get coddled more.
Yes.
That's just my opinion.
Yes. And I'll tell you, I'll tell you something that disgusts me, Jimmy. You remember not too long ago, Teofimo Lopez called out Top Rank for building up black fighters more than the Hispanic. It wasn't always like that, but it makes sense. The more I look at it, especially with Disney being woke and the propagating, the whole black culture thing, and it's like, and it just kind of fits what he's trying to say. Like, let's say you have Shakur Stevenson, and if Shakur Stevenson wouldn't have shit the bag against De Los Santos, I guarantee you they'd have made the Navarrete Shakur Stevenson fight even without Navarrete moving up and getting the belt. So it's all like a setup thing, and I'm just. Listen, I love Top Rank, but they're fucking up. And I'll tell you another thing. They just announced, what's his name, Liam Paro against Subriel Matias in Puerto Rico, right? Now, Puerto Rico belongs to Top Rank. You know why it belongs to Top Rank? Because the WBO belongs to Top Rank, and WBO is stationed in Puerto Rico. Yeah. That's where they are. That's why they invest in Puerto Rican fights in the whole nine. I don't understand how it is that they allowed what's his name, Eddie Hearn, to get a foothold and give on Subriel Matias in Puerto Rico, when it could be so much easier for them to have done that, get a deal done with Subriel Matias and set him up for Teofimo Lopez, which is a fight that I want to see. I really want to see that fight. I wish it would have happened in June in the Puerto Rican Day Parade, on the eve of the Puerto Rican Day Parade. But if it didn't happen, then have Matias have a fight in June in Puerto Rico. Teofimo Lopez in New York in June also, and then in December have them meet, for Heisman Trophy night. It would have been like amazing, but I don't know what's going on. I know this much, Jimmy. 6 years ago, Top Rank signed a 4-year deal, right? Originally a 4-year deal, and they were extended 4 more years at the end of the first year because they did such a good job. I'm not saying that they did a bad job. They really have delivered a lot of fights and not been in the fans' pockets, and they really have come true. I think a lot of championship fights, great fights. The thing is going on, but there's something missing, man.
I don't know if it's Bob's getting old. I don't know if it's he's handing over the reins to the son-in-law. I don't know what's going on. He seems still pretty with it.
No,
he was on that interview with Third. Listen, you're not going to get an argument from me. I think Top Rank's the best who do it, but I think you nailed it on the head when you said it's a cultural thing going on right now that ESPN they're playing on now. That there's a certain group that fits into the victimhood mentality, and I'm not saying that's representative of all people. That's just the culture, the way things are right now. And are they falling in line with that? If they are, shame on them. That's all I'm saying.
All right, Filthy, we got to move on, man.
No doubt.
We got to move on, man, because we were past the hour here almost.
All right.
But,
no doubt, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Good talking to you again.
Hit the like button. BDA Boxing, baby, no doubt.
There you go. All right. Shout out to you, Filthy Casual. Keep up the good work on Twitter, man. Take it easy out there.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, listen, I just wanted to add something real quick. Shout out to Mexican Rambo for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, just got the call from Al Heyman. Canelo versus Benavidez is set for May 2025. I don't know if I want to trust Mexican Rambo there too much, but shout out to him. Also, Filthy Casual said that Top Rank owns Puerto Rico. I disagree. The guy who owns Puerto Rico is right here on our panel with us. That's recognized the Matrix. That's why they used to call him El Don de Bayamon. Because this guy walks those streets and everybody respects him. So.
Se mete con mi gente. No se mete con mi gente, brother.
There you go. There you go. That's El Don.
Se mete con la gente, te da un plomo.
Whether it's Bayamon or Coupe Alto, everyone recognizes his name. Now, the other thing, I think we don't have time to address this. I don't know about Filthy Casual was talking about the oxygen masks or giving people oxygen in between fights. I don't know if that would prevent brain bleeds.
Yeah.
But,
I'm not sure either. Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But like Recognize said, it's the enforcement of the rules. And that's why I have a problem with this 24-hour weigh-ins, because they implemented those to give guys time to not dehydrate themselves too much. Because back in the day when they had the same day weigh-ins, people still used to cut weight, but they did it in a way that was a little, they weren't cutting 20 pounds. That's impossible to cut 20 pounds in one day and then fight. But they did cut weight. In fact, the amateurs still do it that way. They'll cut a certain amount of weight and then they'll weigh in this on the day of the fight and they'll fight. But they're not dehydrating themselves, like I said, 30, 35 pounds, 20 pounds. So now the fact that we have these 36-hour weigh-ins, where it's some guys weighing in the morning before the day of the weigh-in, before the fight, they get 36 hours to rehydrate. I don't know if that's good. The point is, a lot of these guys get brain bleeds, and one of the reasons why this happens is because the lack of liquid in the brain makes it more susceptible for hematomas. And Don Chingasos brought up a good point on Never Sober's podcast. He said, how come it's, they always talk about how it's the slick guys, they don't take punches and that because they want to play it safe. But I mean, some of these guys, Muhammad Ali, for example, he used to be a slick fighter, but look, a lot of people, and again, it's inconclusive, but some posit that the reason why he had the Alzheimer's was because of the brain trauma. Now, again, that's not set on stone. And another reason why Muhammad Ali had that, Parkinson's, is Muhammad Ali used to be a bad technician when it came to sparring. He would do the rope-a-dope and let guys. I think Larry Holmes is one of the guys that pointed out that when he would spar him, Ali would just lay on the ropes. Seems like he fell in love with the rope-a-dope. The other problem with the movers in boxing is that they don't know how to fight on the inside. So what they do is they're very good at boxing for 6 rounds. But if they're sparring, sometimes they might spar 15 rounds, and they're sparring different guys every 3 or 4 rounds. So after the 6th round, they're tired, but then a new guy comes in and he's fighting a fresh body. So what do? They don't know how to fight on the inside. And so they wait it out to get their second wind. And what do? They just put up the earmuffs, the high guard. And they've got those big-ass winning gloves, 16-ounce gloves, and they got the headgear, so they think, I'm safe. But nah, man, that's even more dangerous, fighting with that equipment, because it gives you the illusion that you're safe, but you're still incurring or absorbing head trauma. Think about it. You're putting your gloves up, but a fucking trained professional is wailing on you. That's going to shake up the brain. That's really the detrimental factor here. And so, yeah, boxing is dangerous. And that's why it's always good to be able to be the best boxer you can be and be the most the well-conditioned athlete you can be. And that's another thing, the problem with boxing, when we talk about enforcing the rules, is that these weigh-ins are being pushed back more and more, and that could be good for certain fighters. But maybe, I don't know, maybe rehydrating too much, it might be dangerous for certain fighters. I mean, I don't know. I'm just talking out of school here. I don't know about the medical aspects, but I still maintain you have to enforce the rules to try to save as many lives as possible.
36 hours, like you talked about, giving them 36 hours to rehydrate is actually way more dangerous for the person that guy's going to beat up on. That's insane. Think about this. Haney weighed in at 134.7 pounds, right, to fight Lomachenko. He stepped in the ring at 156 pounds the night of the fight. Okay? That's 21 pounds heavier than he was on the scale. He stepped in the ring heavier than a junior middleweight, meaning if there was back in the old days, not the old days, back when boxing was much better, when the same day weigh-ins, that means Haney would be fighting as a junior middleweight right now. He wouldn't be down there picking on guys at 135 because he was young enough to manipulate his body. That's what made the robbery even that much more egregious, that everything was stacked in his favor. It's even the fact that he blew up to 156 pounds, and the little Ukrainian still gave him a boxing lesson. So, yeah, but it's terrible. Steve, that's one of Steve Kim's biggest pet peeves, too. It was set in place to help fighters. It was after the Korean kid died, as they really went crazy with that. He was too emaciated. He needed time to rest. Listen, back in the day, what you would do, you'd have your weigh-in, and that's why they always had weigh-ins at the hotels, too. All right, because the fighters would go right upstairs to the bed because that's what you want to do. You want to sleep. That's the only time your body grows or heals is during REM, during sleep. Like you can work out, do all that shit. If you don't sleep, your body doesn't heal, doesn't grow. So they would go upstairs, sleep for at least, you want a minimum of 2 hours sleep, eat a bunch of carbs or whatever, and you'll, like, literally, if you sat there, you'd watch a dude, you'd literally water start coming back to his body, his veins start to pop up and shit. It's crazy. But, yeah, so because of that, they instituted, listen, if too many guys are fighting at weight classes they shouldn't be fighting at, it's making it dangerous. Let's go to the day the day before weigh-ins. But now they've just because they thought it would make people safer. But what's happened now, guys are fighting in weight classes they have no business fighting in. Now it's a whole manipulation of how small can we get, because it doesn't matter. It's really what they're counting on is how much weight can we safely put on after the weigh-in, because you can only put on so much before it becomes detrimental to your hand speed, your legs, because you're sparring for 8 weeks going into that fight. You're getting used to a certain weight. If you all of a sudden throw too much weight on your body, you'll hit a wall. You'll be like, all of a sudden, oh man, my body wasn't used to carrying this weight. So it's kind of a trick to play, but anybody putting on 20 pounds overnight, listen, there was a whole team of people involved in that. They were probably waking Haney up every 2 hours, having him, feeding him food. I mean, that was done. Listen, that wasn't done on accident. So, fuck all that shit. I can't stand that bullshit.
There's a video of his, I think on his official YouTube channel, they posted a video of the weight cut either for the Kambosos fight or for the Lomachenko fight, and he looked like he was on the verge of dying. It's ridiculous what these guys go through to try to get an advantage, which might be meretricious at the end of the day. In other words, it might be a mirage. It might not even really give you that much of an advantage. And here's the other thing. A lot of these guys... What's that?
I said great word. Meretricious.
Oh, come on.
I love it. You teach me a lot, brother.
All right. But what I'm trying to get at is the fact that... that's the other thing. Some people could say, well, they're all cutting weight. Who cares? Yeah, but can we agree that some guys don't cut as much weight? Meaning, Lomachenko, you have to figure, was lighter on the day of the fight than Devin Haney. So, like Jimmy said, that's an advantage right there. And not for nothing, but Mauricio Suleiman did tell Bill Haney when they were having the back and forth on the barbershop conversations in 2021, I believe. And Suleiman, the WBC president, told Bill Haney, hey, remember your son for a fight in 2020, I believe, or 2019, he rehydrated up to 160-something. So what he did against Prograis was not the first time that he's rehydrated all, and that was at lightweight, by the way. So this dude is a walking middleweight, and it's unfair. And if you think all weight cuts are the same, remember Arturo Gardi versus Joey Gamache. Like Gamache looked like a lightweight in there. The fucking Gardi walked in there looking like a middleweight. That was one of the most brutal stoppages we've ever seen. So, yeah,
I would say Lomachenko is probably 143. I'm just guessing just by his look. I'm really good at like seeing somebody naming their weight, but I would probably say around, he probably gained about, it would just have been about water weight and some fat and shit, because the dude walks around at about 150, 155. So his walk around weight, Haney actually blew up overnight heavier than Lomachenko's walk around weight. That's the size advantage Haney had over Lomachenko. You know what I mean? And again, that's why weight bullies, I don't like it, because we're all signed for it. They're not a bully in essence, that because the other guy he's fighting could go to a smaller weight and try to do the same thing. But yeah, no, listen, those guys who like almost induce comas, like you see even Prograis, you see that, like people realize what we go through. You know, he shows them climbing out of an ice bath and they have to hold him up. Well, dude, nobody's telling you to fucking do that. Nobody's telling you to fight in a weight class you clearly don't belong in. You know what I mean? Like, he shouldn't have been fighting at 140. I've been saying that for years. I think Prograis was fucking around too long, and that's why he looked like shit. Right? He just physically, he wasn't reacting because he was fighting in a weight class he didn't belong in. And that's the reason why Haney's so fast to get to 147. Why do you think they're already saying, like, we want to fight Thurman next, or we want to fight this person 147? They don't even want to hang around 140. He's too big for 140, and they know it.
Jeez Louise.
So that's the reason why they want punch him up to 147 so quick. So if there's a weight bully, yes, Haney falls in that category without a doubt.
Yeah,
he is one of those guys who's always abused it.
Again, not all guys cut weight the same. So to go out there and say, well, it's part of the rules. Well, that's my other problem too, by the way. When people say, well, it's part of the rules, or they're doing it within the rules. The rules are changing in a slow-boiled type of way that people seem to miss. They do it in an underhanded. They do it in an underhanded way where people don't even realize it. For example, again, the weigh-ins. It used to be people weighed in the afternoon or in the evening before the fight, or the day before the fight. Now it's in the morning. They've changed that, and people are just going along with it. Same thing with the title belts. When people go, well, you need all 4 belts to be undisputed. Nowadays they come up with that term undisputed in the 4-belt era. And I'm thinking, okay, so you just essentially who decides that, first of all? Number 2, whichever committee decides this, you just go along with it as a fan. You don't question it. You don't talk back about it. You don't try to dissect it or anything. You just go along with it and no critical thinking. That's stupid. And again, it goes hand in hand with what I'm talking about, this lax attitude that people have about boxing. And then when fighters pass away, people want to cry, maybe we should ban the sport. No, it's just a deregulated sport that we have to actually get tough and make it tighter. That's what I say. Make it tight. I like it tight. And
tight. Nice and tight. No, but and another thing, it's not a fair sport when it comes to this too. Yes, everybody's competing under the same rules, but the reason why Haney's been able to fuck around like that, because he's 19, 20, 21. You ain't going to do that shit when you're in your 30s, because your metabolism completely changes. Everyone here can attest to that. Everything changes. So, and when you hit your 30s, so you can't shed that weight. You can't, first off, take it off. It becomes, the reason being, as you mature, your muscles become denser and it's harder, because believe it or not, Haney is chewing up muscle. Like, he's got your muscles, your body's, I think, 80-something% water, but it doesn't matter. Your muscles dense and they get more fibrous and harder as you get older. So you can't shed that weight. That's the reason why you don't see guys doing that like 33 years old. There's a reason why, as he gets older now, he's trying to get up to 147 quick as possible, because he's going to get fucked up if he keeps doing that. And I think that's one of the reasons why was a little more chinny. I mean, it was definitely better for him to fight at 140 than 135 or 130, because I think that's the reason why against Linares, he was shook, and it was shook for that long, because his body can't take it. He's doing a lot of stress to his body, but whatever. It's weight bullying in a definite sense, and I agree with that terminology.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that's my point, man. I mean, these people, when they go with the weigh and said, oh, it's the same, they're all playing within the rules. Yeah, but some guys rehydrate more. And then on top of that, what's next? I mean, again, they keep changing the rules right under your nose. I'm talking to the general boxing fan out there that just goes with it, and they don't clap back, as they like to say in the streets. I mean, what's next? That's why I always ask people. So if 5 years from now, all of a sudden Ring Magazine, no, not Ring Magazine, but ESPN, for example, or some other media members start telling you, oh yeah, hey, listen, at the IBO, you need the IBO belt to be considered undisputed. People are going to go with it because that's what they did with the WBO. The WBO used to be considered a joke back in the 90s and beforehand. Or I don't know if it existed before the 90s, but the point is, it used to be a joke. Now it's one of the main 4 belts that you need to get to be considered undisputed. Nah, I mean, I'm telling you, this people don't question these things, and I think that's why. And then they do question, oh, why does boxing suck, or why is boxing's quality, decreasing? Well, because you don't realize that things are being changed right under your nose. The world, the matrix, is having these little fucking setbacks and kinks in it, and you're too stupid to realize it, or maybe you're not
boxing
stupid.
Has decreased. Boxing's decreased because the fan base decreased. They're not like, they're just like fanboys. They're not fans of boxing.
That's right.
And so there's very low standards. There's not that many standards for when you fanboy for a fighter.
Exactly.
I'm cool with seeing the guys that that I enjoy fighting the best competition, even if they lose. Because if they lose within the rules of boxing, then it's a great fight. I mean, I'm more of a fan of the sport than I am a fighder. The fighter is just the product of the sport. That's all he is.
That's a great point, man. Yeah, that's a great. You see that with certain fans on social media when they ask a fighter to do something, but they won't ask the same of their fighter, and you go, well, wait, I mean, what's right off the bat there? You start thinking, well, you're a fan of a fighter, you're a fan of men. You're not a fan of the sport. That's what I was telling Olaf earlier. Olaf in the Discord asked me, how come you guys are shitting on Fury now, man? The channel's going to shit. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. I'm rooting for a guy if he's doing the right things. That's why I root for him. As soon as he stops doing that, I'm not a fan of the guy. I'm not a fan of Tyson Fury because he's funny, or maybe some people out there find him attractive or whatever for whatever reason, or they like the guy. I don't. I like fighters as long as they do the right things as boxers and they provide us what we want. As soon as they stop doing that, I remove my support. I'm sorry, man. I'm not a fan of characters.
I was telling Olaf in the Discord, like, listen, I'm not saying Fury can't beat Usyk. I think he should be the favorite. He should be the favorite going into the fight. When you think about the fight, right? Like when you think about it, you got 6'9" Tyson Fury. He's big. He's pretty fast. You know what I'm saying? He should have the advantage in winning. I was just saying, what I was telling Olaf was, I don't think he was ready February 17th. I always felt he was going to lose that fight, and I'm not surprised that he'll pull out. That's it. That doesn't mean that Tyson Fury, if he comes into the fight, can't win. Of course he could win. He should be the favorite. But I think Tyson Fury knows he's got to be on his P's and Q's. He's got to be at 100%. Can't be no fucking around in order to beat Usyk. And the narrative that he was spreading when the Usyk and fight was being talked about was that Usyk was a nobody. He was just a blown up light heavyweight or whatever he called them, and a glorified light heavyweight. And that, he's just like a fly. No, I think Tyson Fury knows better than that. I think he knows that in order for him to beat Usyk, he's going to have to sort of turn back the clock a little bit and be at close to his physical best that he can be in order to pull out a win.
Yeah, that's what the modern boxing fan sees things in black and white. If you pick one guy, for them, that means you're not giving the other guy a shot. And I think that's not what it means. It just means, you're analyzing the fight. You're thinking, I think this guy's going to come out on top. But when you got a fight like Fury-Usyk, of course Fury has a chance. But just because you're picking Usyk doesn't mean you're saying Fury's completely outmatched here. It's not a black and white. It's not an either-or type thing. We got a final phone call here. We've been here for over 3 hours. Jeez Louise. Let's go to 818, and then we're going to wrap it up. 818, you're on the air. 818, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, BDA. So I've been hearing what you guys were saying. You made some great points in regards to Devin Haney cutting a lot of weight. I do think he cuts a lot of weight. But have you guys ever thought of the possibility that, maybe he's trying to move up straight to 147 now because he had such an easy route to undisputed
90
lightweight
seconds.
versus where, now at 140, he would have some stiff competition there. Could it be that he's maybe afraid to go undisputed at 140? He doesn't have confidence in himself?
There's a distinct possibility of that. Devin Haney's his father really calls the shots for him, and he's guided him pretty well in terms of matchmaking.
60 seconds.
I mean, if you think about it, they showed up to watch Lomachenko against Ortiz, and Lomachenko looked human in there, so they figured, okay, now it's the time to fight him. Then they escaped against Lomachenko, and then they watched Prograis struggle against Ortiz, and they go, let's fight him. Now Bill Haney is going to be present at the Teofimo Lopez-Ortiz fight, and I bet you if Lopez looks bad or human against Ortiz, all of a sudden they're going to start beating the drums for Lopez, finally, after almost 4 years.
That's what I'm thinking. Man. And it's funny because, Bill Haney still talks a lot of trash, man. He still talks a lot of trash on Teofimo Lopez. That's a rivalry that they've had since they were both lightweights. Why not? It doesn't make sense. Why not make that fight? I mean, that's a big money fight. I would buy it. I don't know about you guys, but I would buy that fight, and I think it's a good fight.
I think so too, man. I think so too. By the way, is this the boxing scientist?
Yeah, man, it's me.
What's up, man? Yeah, I've been hearing. Listen, man. Been talking boxing for 3 hours here. What's up with there's like a war going on in the YouTube streets between you and who are you beefing with? Is it J-Rocks or?
No, man. So to make a long story short, we got rid of Benzo. We kicked him out of the CDB, and
oh no,
Jay, and then
Benzo's a good guy,
or AKA Jay. Yeah, he's out. So like he was just causing too much drama with all his trolling, and so he's out. And then so Jay Cucks threw a little hissy fit because he didn't like the fact that we kicked him out, and so he went with them. And yeah, they tried going live to talk shit about me, but that didn't go so well. That's all they do. They never keep it boxing, so it's just like a little Cheeseman channel. They have a little troll channel. But yeah, man, thanks for taking my call. You guys check out my channel too. It's the Boxing Laboratory.
Yeah, before
I went live last night.
Okay. So how about Sobers? Do you have any beef with him?
Not really. I mean, okay, the funny thing is, I never really had a problem with Sobers until Benzo showed up. Never had a problem with J-Rocks until Benzo is just like a little instigating troll. And so he's just a little troublemaker, dude. He's just a little troublemaker. And he's also a homosexual that posts tranny pictures on people's panels. So yeah, be careful not to let him on your panel, bro. He'll put like dick pics or tranny pics, and he likes impersonating female voices and hitting on guys, So I have a rule in the laboratory, no faggots allowed in there. And that's why he didn't fit in. He didn't fit in with my crew, so we had to get rid of him. And J Rocks went with him. So
I guess I'm not welcome at the laboratory. All right, good to know. Sobers, you want to address any of this or?
No, he said he got nothing wrong. He ain't got no problem with me. So.
All right, there you go. Clearing things up here, mending fences, as I like to say, over at the Boxing Debate Arena.
Hey, the boxing scientist. The boxing scientist. If you ever see a recognized Matrix account, it might trolling you. That might be fake. I'm just letting you know. All right.
Yeah, there's plenty of fake recognizers out there.
My phone checked out. Who's he talking about? My phone checked out. I didn't hear. I just caught the end. Who's he talking about?
Talking about you.
The account?
No, I'm kidding.
Talking about you.
Can't be me because I don't call other I don't call other podcasts, man.
He's saying it's a long story. It's a long story, Jimmy, between the boxing scientists.
It's this troll Benzo. He's got like hundreds of troll accounts by now. So yeah, man. You don't even know. He's got a troll account on me as well. So I can't even type. I still can't type in your chat, BDA. So if it looks like it's me, I'm letting you know that's not the real boxing scientist. If you guys see a boxing scientist in the chat, that's not me. That's Benzo.
All right. Good to know there. Good to be on the up and up about that type of stuff. And thank you for your call, boxing scientist. And catch you on the next one. All right, man? Take it easy, Hunter.
All right, man. Thanks for taking my call. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, people now in these
Real
YouTube
quick,
streets, people are walking
That's
around
what
with
they're
armor.
doing. So I'm confused. So this dude is like pretending like he's other people using their avatars and starting shit with people.
I don't even know. Well,
that's what boxing.
That's what boxing
I mean, how
scientists
could you be that bored, man?
No, Jimmy. That's what boxing scientist claims. I don't know that for a fact.
Don't read too much into it.
And it's not the first. If it is true, it's not the first time I've seen people do that. You know, MMA champ used to do that all the time. He would create a recognized account or a BDA account, and he would go to other podcasts and start saying completely ridiculous stuff, man. But that's the way it works here in the boxing community. Also, shout out to Iron Templar for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, I just got on. Did you guys hear that Bivol versus Beterbiev is officially set to happen? The untouchable will fight the irresistible force. Can I just say one thing, man? And I'm going to knock on wood here real quick. I hope this isn't a cursed fight,
Knock
man.
on glass, if there's anything.
Oh, come on. No, but I hope this isn't a cursed fight, because I'm getting that feeling with Fury. Usyk and other people have said that in the Discord as well. And I hope that doesn't happen with Bivol versus Beterbiev, because Beterbiev, he gets injured every year. It's like an anniversary for him, and he only fights once a year nowadays. So
yeah, I was gonna say if anybody gets injured, and as much as I'm favoring Beterbiev, it would be him. You know.
Yeah.
So imagine the Saudis. The Saudis are like, imagine the Saudis like, listen, man, we're gonna start offering you guys the most money you've ever made, right? But there's gonna be a clause to that. I don't care why you pull out. If you pull out, I'm gonna fine you guys $10 million.
That's what he's doing. Yeah, yeah, like with the Fury Usyk.
Yeah, they only do that. They only do that when they have mistrust with somebody. You know, I mean, think about it. They're not going to fucking play around. Like, they sunk a lot of money even to their advertisement for that fight, right? That showed, this was like, he was pissed. I'm guarantee you that fucking, for him to sign that, for him to add that clause, all right, Fury's a prideful individual. He should be. He's a championship of the world, whatever, heavyweight champ, right? To have that, like, everybody knows that $10 million, whether you're a fan of him or not, that's regardless. It was put in because of him. It wasn't put in because of Usyk, because there's nothing in his career that has transpired to ever make you think he was going to pull out, or there's never been hijinks. They put that in because Fury's career has been dotted with that. And listen, I know his fans, and I listen to him talk, and, oh, he did that, and Joshua turned the money down. It's like they don't see, like, what... I mean, it just, no, man. That dude said a lot of weird shit. He comes back on it. He makes promises. He gives people one. I mean, Ring IQ, he fucking just dates it. And, you know, and as he's making those videos, I'll just tell you, you can go back and watch the video. He puts up the articles, right? It is what it is. This guy is, and his fans don't see it. So when you hear us fucking not trusting him, it's not personal. I don't know that fucking dude from a hole in a wall. But he's a fighter. That's all he is. He's taking part in something that everybody in this panel loves, the sport. These guys come and go. We're going to fucking comment on them. If we think they're douchebags, we're going to say it. If we think they're doing right, we're going to say it. You know, the praise can come and it can fucking be harsh or, you know, pleasant. So a lot of people, even on Twitter, man, I know Mr. BDA and these guys don't fuck with Twitter that much. People get really angry. His fans just start getting berserkly angry, and I don't understand it, and they don't see what this dude has done. And I would think fine once and for all, like, okay, this Arab has nothing personal, you know, there's nothing, you know, he's not one side of the fence on the Fury argument. He's telling you this is because of your history, dude. Okay, we're doing the fight on this date, but now check this out: $10 million if you do something to postpone this. Not cancel it, postpone it, because but you know what I'm saying? So that should show you what this dude's history is. So I just wanted to put that out, so it wasn't like we're just picking on Fury, because I personally don't give a flying fuck who wins that fight. Personally, I'll give you my opinion. No, listen, when I say that, that means it doesn't affect my life.
Right.
The next morning after that fight, I don't care. It's not going to affect my life one iota. I want to see a great fight. That's all I give a fuck about. I want to see a sport that I've loved for decades be performed at its highest level. That to me is poetry. I don't give a fuck about all that other shit. So it's not personal with me. It never is.
Yeah, people fail to understand your situation because you when you're on the show, you talk boxing, and then when you watch boxing, okay, it's boxing, and every once in a while you'll think about something boxing related. The rest of the time you're living your life. You know, you've told me before. You know what takes most of your time is thinking about the 6 million thing. How you want to disprove that, and you have to be careful. And I understand that you got other interests, but
that's awesome.
Yeah.
The same thing.
I mean, there's more. There's better things to think about. In other words,
that's right. Jimmy comes up to me. He's like, wooden doors. Jimmy's like, that wooden doors, BDA. That makes no sense. How does the cyanide can skin? I go, okay, Jimmy, come on, let's go, man. Let's talk about something else.
You're awesome.
BDA. Let me tell you something. To me, it doesn't matter because guess what? The white guy's gonna win.
Okay, come on, man. Yeah, that's like when Juan Diaz.
I'm getting winged on. But you know what I'm saying? But then again, I didn't mean to go on a spiel, Mr. BDA, but it's like people got to know it isn't personal. Like Oleg, I know he's a huge fucking Tyson Fury fan. I like Oleg, not personal. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I know it gets him angry when he hears us say stuff about Fury. And again, this is just my opinion, and I base my opinion on things I can see, things that they do. I watch him become champion, not defend his title for like going on 2 years. You know, he never gave fucking Klitschko's rematch. I just saw the way this guy's moved. I retire. I'm unretired. I'll break that free for fucking free. I want $1 billion. You know what I mean? Dude's all over the place. Clearly, you know what I mean? He's a manic dude. You can tell. Like he's that dude you would hang around with him in the afternoon and go, I got to home and fucking sleep. That dude's exhausting. And it's just his mannerisms, and he's manic. So he's all over the fucking place. I just hope this fight happens. I'm still not 100% until those dudes are called in the ring. I wouldn't be surprised if this shit never happens. Because remember, he has built his fame, his a lot of his fans he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest heavyweight of all time, off of what? Beating Deontay Wilder. Literally the worst heavyweight champion I've seen in my lifetime. Okay? In my lifetime. And this is the fucking his accomplishments. Everybody else he looked either human with, got put on his ass by some fucking middling dudes. Put on his ass. That fight he won the championship was like literally, if I needed to take a nap, man, that shit's going on. It was like mind-numbingly boring. This guy's claim to fame is coming off the fucking canvas like Jason from Friday the 13th in the first fight, and then beating the shit out of a criminally untalented fucking fighter who can't use a speed bag. Doesn't fucking... Dude, just to watch him, the fucking bells ring and the ref's grabbing him, and he's still throwing fucking windmill punches, for Christ's sakes.
All right.
The highest ranked fighter he fought before becoming champion was 43rd in the world.
Jimmy going all in,
please.
Man. On Fury
I am,
today.
Dude, because it's like this shit needs to be said. This dude, if he loses to Usyk, that's all gone. All gone. He's no longer held up. Because remember, there's still a huge segment of society in his fan base, greatest heavyweight of all time. Dude, if he loses, that's a big fall. Now he's just another heavyweight.
Yeah, you're right, man. There's a lot on the line for Fury, which is a lot of people are bringing up to try to, as evidence that maybe that's why he pulled out, because he's getting the jitters because of this. But I don't know, man. Listen, we'll see what happens. I think Jimmy's making a very compelling argument. We do have to go because we've been here for over 3 hours. Jeez, Luis.
I should have put that rant in the beginning. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to get it off my chest.
Don't worry about it. Shout out to Sebastian for his for rejoining the membership program. Shout out to him. He's got the Doom Demon there as an avatar. Shout out to him, new member. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoy your stay here at Casa del BDA. And we'll be back next, I don't know, man. We got to do a bunch of things, but I'm too tired now and too hungry. Guys, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Recognize Never Sobers. Jimmy, thank you guys for being on. Shout out to everybody that called in, everybody that contributed with the super chat, and of course, everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Sebastian, Pound for Pound King, Mark, Nightmurph, Let Me Ace, Bray, handsome mechanic, Eparukua
Let me
on...
ace.
What's that?
Let me ace. I like
Let
that
me
name.
ace.
Let me
That's
ace.
right.
Yeah.
The Quags, Protectorate General, Hand Flow Boxing Review, Knockout Ned, Mark, Pound for Pound King. Guys, if I forgot anybody, it's because we got to go. My stomach's
Shout out
grumbling
to
over here.
Booty Juice. You got to shout
There
out
you
to
go.
Booty Juice. Come on, man. Let's hear it.
The loosest booty in the West.
Ah, come on. Now, wait a minute. All right, listen. Shout out to you,
Nice,
fellas.
man.
Thank you for joining us. Catch you in the next one. Take it easy, fellas. Thank you for watching.
Peace.
Kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that.